Chapter 181. Just as the Jiang family was reacting to the loss of their money, a piece of news swept through the entire Chinese martial arts world like a hurricane. It quickly spread to the entire Chinese martial arts world. As an elder of the Elysium, Mr. Unknown played an important role in the Elysium. He was ranked 17th on the demigod list and could be said to be an internationally renowned expert. However, such an expert had been killed by a Chinese youth in the desert. It was really shocking. If Jiang Luoxia's strength had been questioned because he had killed a demigod who was not on the list, then this time, he had killed a person who was ranked 17th on the demigod list. Jiang Luoxia's name had been completely resounded. There was no need to say much about Jiang City. Jiangnan Pinghai, the capital, East Asia, Europe, and even the American martial arts world's Chinese martial arts world deeply remembered this name. Jiang Luoxia in Jiang City, descending from the 9 mysteries to cleanse the sky. 1,000 years of hard work. There was a faint sense of transcendence, and a sense of disdain and arrogance that looked down on the world. There was no doubt that he was the world's youngest demigod. Some people even said that Jiang Luoxia might have already advanced to the 3rd stage of deification. However, many people still had reservations about this news. Although Mr. Unknown was a 2nd stage deified and Jiang Xiu had defeated him, he could naturally be a 3rd stage deified. However, more people thought that Jiang Xiu was also a 2nd stage deified. After all, he was still so young. If Jiang Xiu told them that he was actually a 63rd stage deified, they would definitely think that Jiang Xiu was crazy. In their knowledge, the 3rd and 4th stages were very close to becoming a god. There were even rumors that a 4th stage deified. In Jiangnan, in the old house of the Wang family, the sound of a wooden fish could be heard. After old Madame Wang heard this news, she did not speak anymore. The members of the Wang family on the side were also dejected. Dong dong dong. The wooden fish became more and more hurried and broke with a bang. With a sigh, old Madame Wang seemed to have lost all her strength. I underestimated Jiang Luoxia's ability. I've harmed Mr. Don't Know. Wang Xueli and the others were all sitting in the monastery. No one dared to say a word. This news was too shocking. The 17th on the demigod ranking, with such shocking strength, was actually killed by Jiang Xiu. Furthermore, it was said that he was killed in 3 moves. We won't be able to avenge the Wang family, and we won't be able to take back the Wang family's business. His last thought of revenge was completely cut off. Everyone's eyes were filled with despair. Now Jiang Luoxia doesn't need the martial arts disciples of the Jiang family at all. He only cares about the useless Wang Xuetong and his daughter. This was what really made them feel desperate. None of them had been put in an important position, and the feeling of being neglected by their enemies made them want to vomit blood. The few of us old fellows have all been marginalized. The disciples with outstanding martial arts talent can only look at the door now. We all have to act according to the wishes of Wang Xuetong and his daughter. Although they were very dissatisfied in their hearts, what could they do now? Forget it. Today, the Wang family will retreat when they see Jiang Luoxia. Our past grievances will be written off. Find a place and migrate. Maybe we can start a new world. The people of the Wang family could only grit their teeth and swallow their anger. In an ancient castle in a small country in Europe, a handsome man with a height of more than 1.8 meters and blonde hair walked in. He was one of the founding members of the Elysium. His name was Alexander, and he was a Jew. It's King Alexander. I didn't expect him to come back this time. It seems that something big has happened. The guard at the gate said softly. The guard at the door said softly. Seeing him come over, he said respectfully, "Greetings, King Alexander." He walked into the castle. Many people were already sitting at the long dining table. Among them there were red-haired, blonde-haired, brown-haired, black-haired people, and even monks. They were the founding members of the Elysium, in charge of the major areas. Other than the triennial gathering, the founding members rarely gathered like today. Standing at the innermost was a man in a tight black robe embroidered with a 9-headed python. Those who didn't know would think that it was a dragon, but it was actually a python. In the Ming dynasty, the princes wore such things. He stood with his hands behind his back and his fists clenched. With his back facing the gate, he said, "I've gathered everyone here today to tell you a piece of news. An unknown person is dead. He spoke in fluent English. There was no sound at all. They knew that this was no small matter when they called for the meeting. But when they heard it, they were still shocked. Who killed him? Someone asked after a long while. Jiang Luoxia. How is that possible? He's someone we've never heard of. Sir, you're in the second form of God evolution. You're stronger than most of us here. It would take at least 3 or 4 demigods to kill him. One of the European monks, whose head was covered in a black hoodie, gently placed his hand on the table. His palm was almost transparent. Even the blood and bones seemed to be transparent. It was very beautiful. A newcomer. Another person said, which force in China? I'm not sure. The man said, many heritages in China are buried in the long river of history and were accidentally discovered. It's not new for someone to become a demigod. I'm an example. It said that he might be in the immortal state. When he attacked, it was daytime, but the night suddenly fell. Immortal state? Someone exclaimed softly. Everyone present was in disbelief. King Alexander put down the expensive luminous cup and said, I'm afraid he's not far from the immortal state. He might have entered the third form of deified. Another woman said, a newcomer can't be in the immortal state right away. As long as he's not in the immortal state, we can kill him. We just need to have a few more people. The man in the robe said, don't forget that it's China. The current China is not the same as before. If we have more people there, I'm afraid that the Chinese government will be dissatisfied and the demigods will come out. It will be difficult to deal with then. The Elysium was very powerful. Its influence covered all parts of the world, and even controlled many small countries. However, there was one country that was an exception, and that was China. The Elysium had tried to enter China several times, but they were always pushed out. If you want to kill him, the best way is to wait until he leaves Hua Nation before you act, King Alexander said. Why would he leave China for no reason? The man in the robe said, for a mighty overlord who is on the path to becoming a god, the most attractive thing is power. If there is something abroad that can increase his power, do you think he won't be tempted? The woman giggled and said, you Chinese people are so cunning. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiu was being questioned by the school's representatives and the police. So many people had died in the desert. Even if the school could let it go, the parents of the students would not agree. No matter what, they had to give them an explanation. Most of the students' deaths were caused by bandits. There was nothing he couldn't say, so he told them the truth. However, he was questioned for more than 4 hours. When Jiang Xiu came out, Qiu Yinru and Shen Duan had also come out after the interrogation. When Shen Duan saw Jiang Xiu, he was like a mouse seeing a cat. Qiu Yinru didn't think much of it. What did they ask you? Jiang Xiu said. Just tell them the truth. Qiu Yinru said, their deaths have nothing to do with us. She was not compromising, but some responsibilities could not be taken carelessly. The consequences were too serious. Do you want to eat together? Jiang Xiu was about to gather when his phone rang. He took it out and saw that it was Cheng Lingran calling. Sister, where are you? Cheng Lingran's tone was not very pleasant. Academic Affairs Office. Cheng Lingran said, come to the school gate. We'll find Su for lunch. She paused then said, what's going on between you and Su? Why did she? Forget it, come out first. When Jiang Xiu heard her mention Cheng Lingsu, he felt conflicted. He did not want to go, but he could not show it. He could only agree and said to Qiu Yinru, someone's looking for you. Next time, when he arrived at the school gate, he saw a group of tall boys surrounding Cheng Lingran. Jiang Xiu walked over. Cheng Lingran said, I really have an appointment. Now you believe me. One of the tall boys said, Lingran, it's just one more person. Let's go together. Treat it as making another friend. Cheng Lingran shook her head and said, sorry, we really have something to do. She pulled Jiang Xiu into the car and drove away. Sister, who are those people? Are they pursuers? Cheng Lingran said, minor repairs. Don't ask about me. I haven't asked you yet. What's wrong with you? Her tone was very harsh. Her usual gentleness was gone. What's wrong with me? Cheng Lingran said, stop pretending. Tell me, do you know that Su found a boyfriend? Chapter 182. When Jiang Xiu heard the news, he thought that Cheng Lingsu was very cooperative now. The last time they saw each other before coming to the capital, Jiang Xiu told her to find a boyfriend, and she actually did it. This was very infuriating. Lin Yueling wouldn't like her anymore, and her parents wouldn't have anything to say. If Jiang Xiu broke off the engagement because of this, all the fault would fall on her. However, Cheng Lingsu might have seen through it. It wasn't a good idea to drag things out. She and Jiang Xiu couldn't be together anymore, so she might as well give herself a chance. Cheng Lingsu was a very realistic person in his heart. Didn't she do the same in her previous life? Moreover, she tried her best to get rid of him. Although it might be bad for her reputation, she didn't care about it in her previous life. Cheng Lingran said, "Did you two have a fight?" Jiang Xiu shook his head. Cheng Lingran looked at Jiang Xiu with a pair of fierce eyes and said, "Then what's going on? You two must have something. Otherwise, Su wouldn't have announced our relationship so directly. I couldn't persuade her no matter how hard I tried." Jiang Xiu said, "Maybe she doesn't like me." It's hard to say. Cheng Lingran agreed with this sentence. It was very subjective to like someone or not. However, Jiang Xiu and her sister's relationship was set since they were young. The two families had long reached a consensus that they would become husband and wife. At this time, she was in a very bad mood. On one hand, she felt that it was unfair for Jiang Xiu. She felt that Jiang Xiu was dumped in such a humiliating way, but she didn't know that it was Jiang Xiu who said it himself. On the other hand, it was her sister. No matter how angry she was, she wouldn't be angry at her sister. "I don't agree with this. I won't let you be separated from Su. Cheng Lingran said firmly, "Uncle, Auntie, and my parents will never agree." There were some things that Cheng Lingran knew. After all, she was already 7 years old when the incident happened. Jiang Xiu said, "She already has someone she likes. Let her be." Cheng Lingran widened her eyes in shock and said, "How can you do that? Minor repairs? How can you think like that? At this time you should think of a way to get Su back. Don't worry, both our families are on your side. There's no need for that. Just stand on her side." But Jiang Xiu could never say such words. "Wait a moment, you must show enough masculinity. Let that brat know that you're Su's real fiancé, and let him know that he'll back off. Do you understand?" Jiang Xiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Did you hear that?" "Oh." On the way, Jiang Xiu asked a few questions about Cheng Lingran's work. After more than 10 days, with her intelligence, she naturally got used to it. Moreover, with a big boss like Jiang Xiu supporting her from behind, of course everything in the company was green light. Lingfeng Pavilion, a good place. Jiang Xiu got out of the car and looked at the palace-style restaurant in front of him. This wasn't a place that ordinary people could come to. In his previous life, he and Cheng Lingran passed by this place several times. Even if they could afford it, they couldn't get a table. "It seems that the boy has a few coins at home," Cheng Lingran said. Jiang Xiu said, "It seems so." "Pa." Cheng Lingran generously patted Jiang Xiu's shoulder. "Minor repairs, don't get stage fright. I'll take care of everything. What's a bit of money? We used to have money before, isn't it?" Jiang Xiu said in his heart, "You're the one with a guilty conscience and stage fright." The two entered the restaurant. Whether it was the middle of the week or the weekend, this place was always full of customers. Along the way, two waitresses wearing cheongsams led them to a private room. When the door was opened, they saw two people sitting inside. One of them was Cheng Lingsu, whom they hadn't seen for more than 2 months. She sat there, one hand gently tapping on the table, the other holding a book. When she heard the door open, she revealed a smile. "It's my sister." She raised her head and saw not only Cheng Lingran, but also Jiang Xiu. Her beautiful eyes showed some astonishment, but her astonishment disappeared quickly, and her expression returned to normal. "You're here too." His voice was very calm. "The two of you please sit." A young man on the side opened his mouth. This young man was about 1.8 meters tall and thin. His face was white, the bridge of his nose was high, and his eyes were bright and spirited. In terms of appearance, he was not inferior to Yi Wenchen at all. This must be my sister. I'm Song Ronghao, Susu's boyfriend. His tone was neither fast nor slow, and he was generous. At a glance, one could tell that he was a very cultured person. Cheng Lingran ignored him, her beautiful face cold. Song Ronghao was slightly embarrassed, but his face was very graceful with a smile. Cheng Lingran was her sister, and he wouldn't dare to offend her even if he had 10,000 guts. This is Jiang Xiao said. My name is Jiang Xiao. This was a spiritual cultivation with high standards. This time, his attitude was surprisingly good. He hoped that this brother could free him from the shackles of this marriage contract. Hello, please sit. Song Ronghao didn't know what kind of person Jiang Xiao was, but he came with his sister. The two of them seemed to be quite close, so he had to be polite. Cheng Lingran stared at Jiang Xiao, who sat beside her. Her white teeth were about to crack, and her teeth were itching with hatred. Do you know the situation? This person wants to steal your fiancé. He's your enemy. Why are you so polite to him? Why are you sitting beside me? Go sit beside Susu. You're Susu's fiancé. Oh, Miss Cheng was stirring up trouble. She threw out a deep water bomb as soon as she arrived. Cheng Lingsu lowered her head and focused on reading her book. The smile on Song Ronghao's face froze, and the way he looked at Jiang Xiao changed. The friendliness in his eyes immediately turned into hostility. Miss Cheng instantly made Jiang Xiao hate. Hurry up and sit over there. Jiang Xiao said. It's too crowded with 3 people over there. I'll sit beside you. Scared to death. Cheng Lingran gave him a look of disgust and let him experience it himself. Susu, is this really your fiancé? Song Ronghao asked. Yes. Cheng Lingsu turned a page of the book and answered softly. Her eyes never left the book from beginning to end, but her fluttering eyelashes revealed that her mood was far from as relaxed as she looked on the surface. Why haven't I heard you mention it? Cheng Lingsu said. Have you retreated? That's not what you said when you pursued me. You said that no matter what difficulties there were, you weren't afraid of any love rivals. You're afraid of just one? There was disdain in her words, but there was also an element of encouragement. Song Ronghao understood in his heart. It turned out that Susu didn't like this Jiang Xiao. That was easy to handle. What era was it now? There was still such a thing as a child's marriage. He would be defeated in a minute. Waiter, bring the dishes. Cheng Lingran was really annoyed in her heart. She frowned her beautiful brows and looked at Susu, who was looking at her book indifferently. She turned to Song Ronghao and said, Now that you know that Susu has a fiancé, do you know what to do? Song Ronghao said, Sister, this era has changed. We pay attention to free love. I'm sincere to Susu. I like Susu, and Susu also likes me. Ha! Cheng Lingran was really angry. There was actually such a blind person in the world who dared to say such words in front of her fiancé. Did he have any shame? Susu won't like you. Also, our whole family won't agree. Song Ronghao said. Every girl has the right to choose their own boyfriend. A girl as outstanding as Susu will of course choose an even more outstanding guy. Spiritual cultivation didn't like to hear this. Even if you want to chase after your girl, you don't have to step on me and think too highly of yourself. Cheng Lingran was even more angry. In her opinion, the most important thing was emotions, not the so-called practical problems. Are you very outstanding? Song Ronghao said with a smile. I think I'm not bad. With a flick of the keys in his hand, the Lamborghini was placed on the table without a trace. Not many people had even heard of driving a Lamborghini. I studied finance like Susu. However, before returning to China, I've been playing on America's Wall Street for 4 to 5 years. Not to mention the tens of billions of assets of my Song family, I've personally won 500 million in these years. Let me ask, among my peers, there shouldn't be many who are more outstanding than me. Cheng Lingran was stunned. She had already stepped into society and knew how difficult it was to earn money. He actually earned 500 million at such a young age. If it was true, it was really amazing. What's the big deal? Minor repairs and Jiangnan's college entrance examination top scorer? Although the college entrance examination top scorer paled in comparison to this person, Miss Cheng adhered to the principle of not losing face. She was going to fight head-on. Jiang Xiu's words almost made Miss Cheng collapse. "Brother, you're better. Looks could kill." Jiang Xiu must have died 100 times at this time. Looking at Miss Cheng's murderous eyes, Jiang Xiu said very innocently, "I'm telling the truth. Studying well can't make a living." Cheng Lingsu's eyes on the opposite side became more and more gloomy. Chapter 183. Song Ronghao said, "Jiang Xiu is right. Many people are very talented, but in addition to talent, a person needs too many other factors to succeed. For example, perseverance, luck, vision, and so on. Not everyone can bring out their talent. There are too many people in this world who have talent, but don't get the chance." Cheng Lingran said, "I believe in minor repairs. Not only is he talented, but he will also succeed. Very successfully." Song Ronghao said, "It's hard to say. Okay, let's take a step back. Jiang Xiu can succeed, very successfully, but can he be compared to the disciples of the Song family? Sister Ling Ran, I don't know if you've heard of the Song conglomerate. It's one of the few conglomerates in Shanghai. Their businesses are all over the industry, real estate, hotels, insurance, electrical appliances, and even a casino in Huadu Harbor." Cheng Lingren's eyes widened. Shanghai's Song family? Wasn't that Song Tian's family on the Forbes list? The richest family in Shanghai? He was actually from the Song family. Song Ronghao continued, "The Song family's assets are growing at a rate of 21% every year. If this were to be converted into actual money, it would be more than 10 billion. This more than 10 billion a year. This was too frightening." Cheng Lingran was a little stunned. In Jiang City, under her father's hard work for more than 10 years, Cheng Lingran was famous in Jiang City for a period of time. Even in the provincial capital, Cheng Lingren's total assets were only a few billion. Song Ronghao said, "I believe that as the national economy takes off, our Song family's growth will accelerate. Let's double our original foundation." Cheng Lingran looked at Jiang Xiu in dismay. That guy was completely scared out of his wits. He was as dumb as a wooden chicken. She hated this disappointing thing in her heart. She stretched her leg out and kicked him under the table. He was too useless. Song Ronghao continued, "I believe that with my family background, I should be worthy of Su Su. Sister Ling Ran, you also hope that your sister can marry better and happier." These words were vicious. It was simply heart-wrenching. It seemed that if Cheng Lingran stopped him again, it would seem that she didn't want her sister to marry well. Cheng Lingran gritted her teeth and said in Jiang Xiu's ear, "Fight back quickly." Jiang Xiu said, This, how could he fight back? Shanghai's Song family." Looking at Jiang Xiu's disappointing appearance, Cheng Lingran was so angry that she almost clutched her chest. With a fierce gaze, she kept urging Jiang Xiu to quickly retaliate. Her eyes were filled with warning, as if he didn't retaliate, this eldest miss would definitely settle scores with him later. Looking at Jiang Xiu's panicked and helpless look, Cheng Lingsu felt wronged. Her eyes unconsciously turned red. How could a man not say anything when his fiancée was stolen? There was only one possibility. This man didn't care about his fiancée at all. She closed her book and said, "Sister, I've already decided on this matter. I want to be with Ronghao. Regardless of whether you agree or not, whether Uncle Jiang and Auntie Lin agree or not, I will insist. I won't be with Jiang Xiu." Although this was Jiang Xiu's own idea, Cheng Lingsu said it in front of everyone. Jiang Xiu was still a little unhappy. He even felt a little lost. After all, she was the girl he pursued so hard in his previous life. He was such a complicated person. Song Ronghao was overjoyed when he heard this. He stared at Cheng Lingsu's beautiful face, and endless waves rose in his heart. At this moment, he felt that he had this girl and the whole world. He excitedly reached out to hold Cheng Lingsu's hand, but Cheng Lingsu avoided him without a trace. "Okay, let's eat." Cheng Lingran was stunned. Her sister had always been more assertive than her, but she had never seen her sister so determined. At this moment, she could feel the strong resistance in her sister's heart. This was something she had never seen before. "Su, this meal was very boring. No one was in the mood, so no one spoke. Cheng Lingran wanted to say something, but she stopped. She felt that it was useless to say anything now. Jiang Xiu got what he wanted, so he naturally didn't want to complicate things. Cheng Lingsu was reading her book. Only one person was eating very happily. Song Ronghao. This meal was perhaps the most delicious meal he had ever eaten. Su Su, how are you going to explain this to the elders? When they were almost done eating, Cheng Lingran took Su Su to the bathroom to ask. I'll call them and explain it clearly. Cheng Lingran didn't give up. Before her sister turned to leave the bathroom, she grabbed her hand. You and Minor Repairs were childhood sweethearts. Don't you know how he feels about you? Little sister, don't be blinded by the society that is obsessed with paper money. There are not many people in this society who are sincere to you. No matter how beautiful you are, Xiao and our family know each other very well. Everyone knows his nature. If you follow him, he will never let you down. Cheng Lingsu said, Sister, there are some people who you might not understand even if you were with them since you were young. In her heart, she said, I'm not the one who can't see through him. It's you, sister. That person isn't like what you see. Cheng Lingran wanted to say more, but Cheng Lingsu stopped her. Sister, don't say any more. Let's just leave it like this. I'm so tired. Cheng Lingran found that her sister's face was really tired, and there was an inexplicable sadness in her eyes. The Cheng Lingsu in front of her was becoming more and more unfamiliar to her. However, when she saw her sister like this, she nodded her head with heartache. The dinner party ended just like that. Cheng Lingran and Jiang Xiu went back to Capital University, while Cheng Lingsu and Song Haoran went back to Hua Nation University. They parted ways. Jiang Xiu said along the way, The food at Fengling Pavilion is really good. I'll bring you here next time. There's your favorite squirrel mandarin fish. Cheng Lingran said angrily, Be careful of the fishbone sticking in your throat. Jiang Xiu said with a smile, Wow, do you have to be so vicious? I'm the one who got dumped. Shouldn't you pity me and comfort me? Cheng Lingran said, A pitiful person must have something to hate. I just don't like you. Jiang Xiu said with a smile. Do you feel this way about other people? Cheng Lingran shook her head very decisively. Jiang Xiu said with a proud smile. Then you must have fallen in love with me. Otherwise, why would you only treat me like this? Cheng Lingran said, Don't be so smug. What's so good about you? You seem to have forgotten what just happened. Looking at this guy's heartless appearance, Miss Cheng decided to ruthlessly provoke him. Jiang Xiu continued to smile and said, Everyone has their own preferences. Who knows, maybe you'll like mine. Cheng Lingran was really defeated by this guy's shamelessness. Why are you so narcissistic? While waiting for the bus, they drove the Lamborghini. Logically speaking, they should have sent Jiang Xiu and Song Haoran back, but there were only 2 seats in the car. The car drove on the streets of the capital. Cheng Lingsu was silent. Looking at the intersection ahead, she said, Drop me off in front. Song Ronghao asked, Aren't you going back to school? Cheng Lingsu said, I want to be alone. Song Ronghao wanted to say something, but he swallowed his words back. He knew that Cheng Lingsu might be under a lot of pressure, so he stopped the car. Cheng Lingsu opened the door and got out. She didn't even say goodbye to Song Ronghao and crossed the sidewalk. She didn't know why, but she couldn't stop her tears from flowing down. She took out her mobile phone and called home. Dad. Su Su, how are you in the capital? With 1 million yuan from Jiang Xiu, Cheng Lingsu bought a decent house. Cheng Hanlin and his wife also had a place to stay. Dad, I found a boyfriend. Cheng Hanlin was stunned. Sun Xiaohong was also stunned. Sun Xiaohong quickly said, Su Su, what are you doing? You are engaged to Jiang Xiu. Don't. He is Mr. Jiang. Will he allow you to do this? You are playing with fire. Cheng Lingsu said, We had lunch with my sister this afternoon. He didn't object. In fact, it was Jiang Xiu who asked her to find a boyfriend. Sun Xiaohong said, No, we can't. We owe the Jiang family. The happiness of the rest of their lives was all pinned on the marriage of their youngest daughter and Jiang Xiu. Cheng Lingsu said, Mom, his name is Song Ronghao. He is the son of the Song family, the richest family in Shanghai. Ah? Sun Xiaohong's voice suddenly became happy. She said, "The Song family in Shanghai. Is it Song Tian?" "Yes," Sun Xiaohong said. "If Jiang Xiu doesn't object, then it will be fine." Hearing that it was the Song family, the words avoiding the Jiang family just now were immediately forgotten. "Then it's decided." Cheng Lingsu's tears couldn't stop falling. Even she didn't know why. Cheng Hanlin said, "What about Jiang Yi and his wife?" Cheng Lingsu said, "I will call Aunt Lin." Chapter 184. In Cheng Lingsu's memory, Lin Yueling had been very good to her. It could be said that she treated her like her own daughter. At that time in Ninghai, Jiang Xiu almost killed her whole family. It was also Lin Yueling who saved them. She really didn't have the face to say those words to Lin Yueling, but things had already come to this point, and she had no choice. She dialed Lin Yueling's phone. Lin Yueling's happy voice came from the other end of the phone. It could be heard that Lin Yueling was very happy to receive her call. "Su, it's so easy to remember to call me. How are you? Are you adapting well in the capital?" Lin Yueling was born and raised in the capital. Cheng Lingsu said, "It's pretty good, Auntie." Lin Yueling felt that Cheng Lingsu had something to say. "If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to be shy with me. Give me your bank account number, and I'll give you some pocket money." She guessed that she must have no money. Now the cost of going to college was very high. Su grew up rich. She didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. Instead, she was quite happy. Su asked her for money, which meant that she didn't treat her as an outsider. "No, it's not." Cheng Lingsu took a deep breath and said, "I broke up with Jiang Xiu and found another boyfriend." Jiang Xiu agreed. "What?" Lin Yueling was a little surprised. "Is it that brat?" Cheng Lingsu's tears fell again. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Auntie. It's not Jiang Xiu. It's me. I fell in love with someone else. Can Jiang Xiu and I just forget about it?" She didn't know where the tears came from. She just felt that she had been greatly wronged. "I'm sorry." Lin Yueling was silent for a while on the other end of the phone. Then she said, "Auntie doesn't agree to this." Su, don't blame Auntie. There are all kinds of grudges related to the previous generation. If you want us to let it go, you have to marry Minor Repairs and follow him wholeheartedly. Lin Yueling reminded her that the Jiang family had a condition for letting go of their hatred. Only if she married Jiang Xiu, became the daughter-in-law of the Jiang family, and gave birth to a son or a daughter could she repay the debt. This was also the reason why Jiang Xiu let the Cheng family go. Now that she had done what she wanted, she planned to leave. Lin Yueling didn't accept it, but her words were very tactful. She was afraid that she would ruin her relationship with Cheng Lingsu. "But Auntie," Lin Yueling said, "no buts. You and Minor Repairs have been engaged since you were young. All these years, Auntie has always treated you as my future daughter-in-law. What do you want Auntie to do? Auntie can't accept another daughter-in-law." Cheng Lingsu said, "Auntie." Lin Yueling's words touched the softest spot in her heart. The grievance in her heart burst out in an instant. She couldn't help but cry loudly. Lin Yueling said, "Su, don't cry. Tell Auntie, what's going on?" Lin Yueling had been urged by fate all these years. She was like a pearl covered in dust, dim and without light. But don't forget, she was the daughter of a rich and powerful family. Her mind was very sharp, especially after her husband recovered his vitality and her son became successful. Her entire spirit, energy and spirit returned. When she heard that Cheng Lingsu had a new boyfriend in less than a month after arriving in the capital, she felt that something was wrong. Their lives were saved by her in the name of being Jiang Xiu's future daughter-in-law. If Cheng Lingsu wanted to do this, she first had to consider whether she could bear it or not. "Did he force you to do minor repairs?" Cheng Lingsu said, "No." Cheng Lingsu didn't dare, and Cheng Hanlin didn't dare either. For things to develop to this point, it could only be because of Jiang Xiu. Lin Yueling said, "That rascal. Does he really think that he's so great just because he's Mr. Jiang? Doesn't he know that he can't abandon his wife who went through hardships?" Cheng Lingsu said, "Auntie, Jiang Xiu doesn't like me, so it's meaningless to be together. You can't force a melon to be sweet." Lin Yueling said, It's fine as long as I'm sweet. I worked so hard to raise him. But he can't let me have my way. He'll have to hold it in for the rest of his life. It was also the first time that Cheng Lingsu saw the unruly and willful side of her future mother-in-law. Cheng Lingsu said, But, he's not the Jiang Xiu of the past. He's Mr. Jiang. Auntie, it's all my fault. I've wronged you. When I grow up, I'll be filial to you. My engagement with Jiang Xiu is over, okay? Auntie, I've never begged you since I was young. Take it as me begging you this time. Lin Yueling wanted to say something, but the words were stuck in her throat. In her mind, she remembered the scene of the little Cheng Lingsu feeding her porridge. Susu, Cheng Lingsu said. That's all, Auntie. I'm hanging up. The dial tone came from the other end of the phone. Lin Yueling was stunned for a while, and didn't come back to her senses. After a while, she picked up the phone and called Jiang Xiu. Brat, did you make Susu angry? Jiang Xiu felt that he heard this frequently. No, what's the matter? Why aren't you telling me? Jiang Xiu said. I don't have a choice. She found a boyfriend who is more handsome and richer than your son. He's the son of the Song family, the richest family in Shanghai. Mom, she has a better choice. Let her go. Jiang Xiu didn't know that on the other end of the phone, Lin Yueling was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down violently. Finally, when Jiang Xiu finished speaking, she exploded. Jiang Xiu, you're really something now. You're so insidious and ruthless. You're really Mr. Jiang. Don't you know what kind of person Susu is? Don't you know what kind of people the Cheng family is? Without your approval, Susu wouldn't dare to contact other boys. If I'm not wrong, you forced Susu to find a boyfriend, Jiang Xiu said. Mom, how can you say that about your own son? Get out, Jiang Xiu said guiltily. I really didn't, Lin Yueling said. Go and get Susu back. Jiang Xiu said. Mom, forget it. Her heart isn't with me anymore. She already has a boyfriend. Her heart isn't with me anymore. What's the use of getting her back? Are you going to find her or not? Jiang Xiu said. Hello, Mom. What? Spiritual cultivation shamelessly used the bad signal, and then hung up the phone. Stinking brat. Lin Yueling was very angry. When she called again, Jiang Xiu had already turned off his phone. She paced back and forth in the room. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She felt that Jiang Xiu was in charge of this matter, and Susu was most likely cooperating with him. You heartless little brat. Don't forget that your life was saved by Susu. Now that you've become rich, you don't care about others anymore? Little did she know that in her previous life, Cheng Lingsu was very cruel to Jiang Xiu. No, absolutely not. At this time, Jiang Yi came in from outside. At this time, Jiang Yi's face was full of smiles. The previous haze was swept away, and it was as if he had been reborn. He saw his wife anxiously pacing back and forth in the room. What happened? Lin Yueling told him the whole story. No, minor repairs can't be done like this. I also won't allow my son to do so much. I'm planning to go to the capital. Jiang Yi said in surprise. You're going back. Then what should we do? Are we just going to let Susu and minor repairs break up like this? Before she finished speaking, she went into the inner room to pack things. Don't forget that our son is in the capital right now. He has 2 other engagements on his back. Have you thought about the consequences once he breaks off his engagement with Susu? Jiang Yi's expression changed greatly. He stood up abruptly. Right, I almost forgot about this matter. It seems that you really need to make a trip back to the capital. Lin Yueling pulled out her suitcase and said angrily. This boy is really troublesome. Why isn't Susu worthy of him? Don't forget that he was raised by my fruit stall. How can he dislike her? Jiang Yi also anxiously paced back and forth in the house. Although he learned some skills and the underworld of Jiangnan gave him face, after all, he has no roots. If he shows up rashly, he will definitely be hit hard and will be doomed eternally. Lin Yueling said coldly. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted and let him go to the capital. He should have stayed in Jiangnan and drawn a clear line with those 2 families. Now the most important thing is that he must not break off his engagement with Susu. Jiang Yi immediately called his secretary and asked him to book a plane ticket and send his wife downstairs. The car was a Volkswagen, which was specially allocated to Jiang Yi as Nan's secretary. There was a special number on the back. However, Anyang was a poor county-level city. In a bigger city, its GDP was less than that of a district. Do you want me to ask someone to go with you? Lin Yueru shook her head. If he doesn't listen, I'll take him back to Jiangnan and stop studying. Chapter 185. Jiang Xiu and Cheng Lingran got off the bus. Jiang Xiu thought of the group of boys waiting for Cheng Lingran at the door and asked, "Sister, who are those people we met here? Suitors?" Cheng Lingran said, "Your sister is not ugly. Why can't people pursue me?" She was not only not ugly, she was the second most beautiful girl in the capital. The reason why she was second was not because she lost to the other party in terms of talent and appearance, but because Cheng Lingran's family background was not as good as the first. How could such a school belle not have suitors? But it was strange. Cheng Lingran had been in university for 3 years, but she had not had a boyfriend. Moreover, she handled this kind of thing very well. She was not pestered by anyone, and there were no bad rumors. From this point of view, Cheng Lingran's EQ and means were definitely not weak. Jiang Xiu said, "They are too bad. If they want to find someone, they should at least be at my level." Cheng Lingran patted her forehead. "Here you go again. Why are you so narcissistic? I don't want to talk nonsense with you. It's almost time. I have to go to the big classroom. You ought go back and reflect on yourself. Then write a 1,000,000-word reflection for me. Otherwise, you will be in trouble." In front of Zhongtian Building's floor-to-ceiling windows, October was approaching, and the weather had already begun to cool down. Occasionally, a gust of cold wind would make people shiver. Wang Xintong brought Jiang Xiu a cup of coffee. "Someone called Jiang Heng called me and wanted to meet me." Jiang Heng? Jiang Xiu's face turned cold. Of course he knew who Jiang Heng was. In his last life, when he returned to the Jiang family, the one who humiliated him the most was this cousin. Wang Xintong said, "We may have caused trouble. The Jin family in Pinghai is related to the Jiang family. They may be the Jiang family's money bag. We unintentionally offended Mr. Jiang by dealing with the Jin family." Her voice was filled with anxiety. Jiang Xiu didn't tell her that his target wasn't the Jin family, but the Jiang family. However, he was afraid that it would scare Wang Xintong or even make her panic, so he didn't tell her. Jiang Xiu said, "What does he want from you?" Wang Xintong said, "Maybe he wants to go back to the Jin group." Jiang Xiu said, "He's still as arrogant as ever. Jin group was won back by us in the stock market. Jiang Heng thought that by bringing out the Jiang family, we would give it to him. What does he think the Jiang family is? The emperor?" Wang Xintong frowned and said, "The Jiang family is a colossus. We really don't need to provoke such a powerful enemy for money." Jiang Xiu's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. He can't even think about getting a dime. Wang Xintong's heart trembled. Jiang Xiu wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality with the Jiang clan and form an enmity with them. Although she felt that this was very unwise, she unconditionally supported Jiang Xiu. "All right, I will do whatever you say." Jiang Xiu handed a document to Wang Xintong. "I've incorporated an armed force in the desert. There is oil in the ground they are guarding. This is the information of the middleman. By the equipment and technology for oil extraction from this person." Wang Xintong was a little confused. "What did you say? You incorporated an armed force and still want to extract oil? You're not joking with me, are you?" She quickly put down the coffee in her hand and took the document to read. It was covered with a conspicuous national emblem. At this moment, Wang Xintong's heart was like a stormy sea. He actually got a permit. God, oil had always been extracted by the country. There was no exception. What kind of existence was this man in front of her? Jiang Xiu said lightly, "I discussed it with the big boss at Diaoyutai the night before yesterday." Wang Xintong felt a hot current rushing to the top of her head, and all the hair on her body stood up. The amount of information here was too much and too shocking. "Let your father handle this matter. You deal with the Jiang family." Wang Xintong nodded hard. "Okay." She looked at Jiang Xiu with a fanatical gaze and gradually turned into a seductive posture. She leaned in front of him and said, "I learned a new dance." Oh. Jiang Xiu's mouth raised a smile. The floor-to-ceiling curtains suddenly fell, and the whole office became dim. The weak warm light fell on her body. Her shadow swayed like a demon and a fox, performing all kinds of seductive postures. It was extremely seductive. Wang Xintong's figure was almost perfect. Her waist was particularly thin, and she easily controlled all kinds of dance postures. She took off her shoes and stood on her tiptoes. Her toes were sparkling and translucent like flower petals. Her nails were painted pink, and they shone under the light. With a little force she jumped up. Her posture in the dark, her chest was high, like a proud swan. Then she suddenly squatted down and sat on the ground. Her knees were closed, but her legs were straight. She leaned forward and supported herself on the desk. Her beautiful back and buttocks were facing Jiang Xiu. Xiu. With this dance, Wang Xintong vented some unknown fanaticism in her heart. The sweat on her forehead slid down her cheeks, dripped on the floor, and smashed into pieces in the end. She was so tired that she collapsed on the ground. Some kind of happiness after pleasure hung on her face. Her bright eyes were unfocused at this moment, immersed in physical exhaustion. Ring, ring, ring. The phone on the desk rang. "You're so annoying," Wang Xintong scolded coquettishly. She got up and picked up the phone. It was the secretary at the front desk. "Well, there's a problem with the approved land?" "Oh, okay, I know." She gasped and picked up the scattered professional suit on the ground. She walked into the bathroom in the office. After a while, the sound of water splashing came from inside. A piece of land in the third ring road. Originally, all the negotiations had been settled. If I'm not wrong, it should be the Jiang family behind it. Jiang Heng wants to give me a piece of advice. This young Master Jiang is quite fast. About 10 minutes later, Wang Xintong came out neatly dressed. Her hair was wet. She should have washed her hair. She wiped it with a dry bath towel. Because of the exercise, the skin on her face was extraordinarily white and tender, covered with a layer of moving red. "Stay and have dinner with me?" Wang Xintong's phone rang. A very magnetic voice came from the other side. "How about it, Miss Wang? Do you have time tonight? Let's have dinner together?" It was Jiang Heng. His voice was full of confidence. He absolutely believed that Wang Xintong would never dare to refuse him again. "By the way, remember to call your master, Jiang Luoxiao of Jiang City, who is said to have trampled half of Jiangnan under his feet. If he doesn't come, Zhongtian won't be able to develop in the capital." Wang Xintong said. "I'm sorry, I'm not free tonight. Also, don't call my private number in the future. If you really have something to say, make an appointment with my front desk first." After that, Wang Xintong hung up the phone. Hearing the busy tone of the phone, Jiang Heng was stunned. He was rejected once again. Boundless anger rose from his chest, as if it was about to burst out. He had already done what he wanted to do and suppressed Zhongtian. He thought that he had grasped Zhongtian's weakness, and let them know how powerful the Jiang family was. They would definitely admit defeat and bow their heads. However, the result was unexpected. Wang Xintong treated him like a clown and let him jump around as he pleased. Bastard! As the representative of the third generation of the Jiang family in the business world, he had never been rejected like this. Jiang Xiu smiled faintly. "Your ability to insult people has not weakened at all." Wang Xintong remembered the scene when she met Jiang Xiu in the tide of Qianjiang. She was insulted at the beginning. She couldn't help but laugh, but then she said a little coquettishly, "I've always been successful. Who knew that I would meet such a devil like you? I'm completely under your control." However, the Jiang family won't stop here. If this trick doesn't work, they will definitely change it. Jiang Xiu said with a smile. "Then let them change it. We have plenty of time. It doesn't matter if all the projects in the capital are stopped." Jiang Xiu's ambition had never been money. No matter how much money he had, no matter how powerful he was, it couldn't compare to his spiritual cultivation. In his heart, there was only cultivation. However, when it came to cultivation, Jiang Xiu felt very strange these 2 days. It wasn't that the effect of cultivation was bad, but that the effect of cultivation in these 2 days was too good. In just 2 days he had opened 4 godly tattoos, reaching a total of 67. At first he thought that it was because of the 2 longevity stones, but later he realized that wasn't the case. He faintly felt a trace of spiritual energy in the air. Although it was very weak, it was really there. Chapter 186. Jiangxiu was currently in the imperial capital, a bustling metropolis where the air quality was notoriously poor. If he had felt a trace of spiritual energy in the deep mountains, it would have been fine, but to feel spiritual energy in the imperial capital made him feel incredulous. Vaguely, he felt some kind of change. Ever since he came out of the ancient desert city, he felt that it was becoming more and more real. The curse of the fire god disappeared for no reason. Did it mean that the curse was broken? The monster that appeared out of thin air was definitely not a creature from Earth. It seemed that something had really happened. In particular, Jiangxiu felt that the 3 divine lights in his body were very obvious. The divine lights of the heavenly Taoist spirit, Li Mi, and the demonic god's divine light of faith had increased sharply without any changes. Moreover, the increase of the 3 divine lights allowed him to vaguely grasp the functions of the 3 divine lights. In particular, the divine light behind the heavenly Taoist spirit had undergone a certain change from pale gold to pale green. It had gone from invisible to useless to vaguely forming a mysterious resonance with heaven and earth. How should he put it? It gave Jiangxiu a wonderful feeling that he had transformed into a celestial being and communicated with heaven and earth. This was similar to immortal cultivation. In the later stage of immortal cultivation, one would be able to glimpse into heaven and comprehend the endless mysteries of heaven and earth. After obtaining the laws, one would have the power to destroy heaven and earth with a raise of one's hand. The divine light was born from heaven and earth, and it also contained a kind of inevitability of the heavenly way. It was impossible to say who was better or worse. It was just that different paths led to the same destination. However, Jiangxiu had walked the path of immortal cultivation once. Even if it was spiritual cultivation, he was relatively experienced. As for the path of divine light, Jiangxiu was completely unfamiliar with it. He didn't know how to cultivate the divine light or how to strengthen it. At this time, the divine light in his body had turned into 3 colors. Li Mi's pale divine light, the heavenly Taoist spirit's pale green divine light, and a black divine light. The 3 divine lights formed a small rotating flame pattern. Jiangxiu was very curious, but he didn't force it and developed it as he wished. Night gradually fell. Under the night sky, the imperial capital was filled with neon lights, illuminating the tall buildings in a gorgeous and magnificent manner, undoubtedly revealing the extraordinary excellence of this city. In a certain residence, Secretary Yi came to the courtyard. Old Master Jiang poured himself a glass of wine, fried a plate of peanuts and ate there. Old Master, you guessed right. Jiang Yi and his wife have returned to the capital. However, Lin Yueling came back alone. The news just came from the airport. Master Jiang snorted coldly. Does she want to take that brat away? The people of the Lin family have always been so selfish. They don't think about their son's future at all. It's fine if they are useless, but how can they be as useless as her son? Secretary Yi said. Should we stop her from entering the country? Master Jiang pondered for a moment and said. No, if she wants to come, then let her come. You go and meet her, and let her know what to do. Tell her that if she is not a member of my Jiang family, then there will only be destruction. Secretary Yi was shocked. He remembered an incident more than 10 years ago. Jiang Yi was completely destroyed in prison. Would what happened to Jiang Yi happen to Jiangxiu again? Secretary Yi thought that Lin Yueling would most likely give in this time. The last experience was so painful that it almost destroyed her whole life. She must not want her son to follow her path. I'll go now. A plane slowly landed in the imperial capital airport in the night sky. Lin Yueling walked out of the airport. Everything had become extremely strange. Compared with more than 10 years ago, this place had undergone earth-shaking changes. The city she grew up in was now so strange and distant. Brat! She abandoned all distracting thoughts, and only her bastard brat was in her mind. You actually turned off your phone. You're forcing me to kill my way to your school. Seeing a taxi coming from afar, she waved her hand and got into the car. Master, Imperial Capital University. Jiang Xiu was still unaware that the Empress Dowager had already arrived in the imperial capital. In a huge cruise restaurant on Guihai Lake, there were sparks in the distance. He and Wang Xintong sat at the table opposite each other. Beside them, there was a foreign man in a swallowtail lake playing the violin. This was the most unique restaurant in the imperial capital. Wang Xintong had been here twice, but she had not enjoyed herself to the fullest. Eating was not about eating, but about her mood. Her mood mainly depended on who she was with. Thank you. The chef at the side served fresh beef. Wang Xintong had studied abroad and was very accustomed to Western food. Jiang Xiu, on the other hand, had never been abroad and was disdainful of Western food. If Wang Xintong had not booked this place, he would not have been interested in Western food. He was still enjoying the breeze and listening to the moaning violin. Try this steak. Wang Xintong cut a piece of beef from her bowl and fed it to Jiang Xiu's mouth. Jiang Xiu looked at her coldly, but he did not open his mouth. There was even a hint of fierceness in his eyes. Wang Xintong said, "If you don't want to eat, then don't eat. Why are you so fierce?" Every time she felt that she could get closer to Jiang Xiu, she would be coldly pushed away by Jiang Xiu, just like now. She had no choice but to put the beef into her mouth. Since that night when the Wang family sent her to Jiang Xiu's room and humiliated her with the first dance, she felt that she was lost in the evilness of the man in front of her. After knowing that he already had someone in his heart, she did not want to get anything from Jiang Xiu. Just like how Jiang Xiu tortured himself, she also felt that self-torture was addictive. It had to be said that people were influenced. Wang Xintong said, "It seems that your fiancé has a boyfriend." Jiang Xiu cut a piece of beef and put it into his mouth. After chewing twice, he stopped. "How do you know? Is this related to you?" Wang Xintong laughed. "I just let Song Ronghao appear in front of Cheng Lingsu." Jiang Xiu's eyes turned cold, revealing a murderous aura. "You're angry. Isn't this what you want?" Jiang Xiu lowered his voice and said, "If it weren't for the fact that we're in public, I would definitely strangle you to death." Wang Xintong recalled that day when she peeked into his sinful love for Cheng Lingran in the depths of his heart. He flew into a rage as if someone had stepped on his tail. This man was capable of doing anything. She suddenly felt a chill run down her spine, but there was also a faint sense of excitement and anticipation. She even suspected that she had masochistic tendencies. She smiled and said, "It seems that I made the right choice to come out for dinner with you. I feel like I've picked up 10 lives." Jiang Xiu was a bit angry in his heart. This woman was becoming more and more impudent in front of him. He had to find a chance to teach her a lesson, so that she would remember. Wang Xintong was completely unaware of old Demon Zhang's thoughts. She smiled and said, "Actually, I originally had an even bolder idea. Do you want to know what it is?" Jiang Xiu said, "What?" "Kill Cheng Lingsu." At this moment, Jiang Xiu felt all the hair on his body stand on end. He couldn't explain what he was feeling at this moment. He only felt that he couldn't control himself and his adrenaline was surging wildly. Wang Xintong picked up the red wine on the table and took a sip. "The Cheng family has 2 daughters. The Cheng family owes your Jiang family and must pay it back. Even if one dies, there's still another. There's a 60% chance that the other one will compensate you. If you do something else, it will be a 100% chance." With a whoosh, Wang Xintong felt her body become light. Jiang Xiu had already grabbed her neck and sent her flying. He lifted her over the railing with one hand. Her limbs were powerless and she struggled with all her strength like a duck being grabbed by the neck. She widened her eyes in horror. Jiang Xiu's eyes were cold and emotionless. "Do you believe that I won't throw you into the lake after strangling you to death?" Wang Xintong's slender legs kicked hard, causing her red high heels to fall. She was shocked. Didn't they say that they shouldn't strangle people in public? She noticed from the corner of her eye that everyone seemed to have stopped moving and was motionless. "Don't try to be smart." Wang Xintong hurriedly blinked to indicate that she understood. "Humph." The violin sounded again. Wang Xintong found that she had returned to her original seat. The people around her were still eating and laughing. Everything had returned to its previous state. Jiang Xiu glanced at her coldly and lowered his head to cut the beef. If it wasn't for the burning pain on her neck and her cold feet stepping on the floor, Wang Xintong would have suspected that what she saw just now was an illusion. She exhaled deeply. She was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat and her face was pale. However, she couldn't figure out how she had provoked him again. Chapter 187. There was no doubt that Jiang Xiu liked Cheng Lingran. People were selfish. Wang Xintong didn't believe that Jiang Xiu didn't want to have Cheng Lingran. But why was he so angry? This girl seemed to have forgotten the pain after the scar healed. She once again challenged Jiang Xiu's bottom line. She lowered her voice and said, "Are you afraid that Cheng Lingran doesn't like you?" Jiang Xiu stopped cutting the beef. Wang Xintong boldly stared at Jiang Xiu's marble-like face. His face was as perfect as a knife, and his eyes were as deep as an abyss. She waited for Jiang Xiu's answer. But what she waited for was Jiang Xiu without a trace of emotion. He said coldly, "Do you really want to die? If you want to die, I'll help you." Wang Xintong said, "People living in such a colorful world, who would be willing to die? I'm no exception." The expectation in her eyes slowly dimmed. She picked up the red wine and drank it. If you love someone, of course, you want her good. You value her glory more than yourself. You see her happiness as your own happiness. You want her to be happy. Jiang Xiu didn't say anything. The serenade played by the violin reverberated leisurely on the empty lake under the night sky. It was like petals fluttering in the wind. It was romantic and sad. Wang Xintong looked at Jiang Xiu. She couldn't help but reach out her hand, wanting to touch his marble-like face. With a slap, her hand was slapped away. Jiang Xiu said, "Don't use your narrow thinking to judge me." She approached again, but was coldly pushed away by him. Wang Xintong saw Jiang Xiu's expression change. A big hand reached out and pressed her head against the stake on the table. Seeing the stake getting closer and closer, Wang Xintong was really angry. This bastard, this big demon, he's really abominable. He's abusing me like this. He could imagine how ugly it would be if her pretty face was pressed against the stake covered in sauce. But in the end, before the tip of her cute nose could touch the stake, she heard a cracking sound and the plate beside her shattered. Are these bullets? Just now, Jiang Xiu didn't want to punish her. He wanted to save her. If Jiang Xiu hadn't pressed her head down, she would have died on the spot. She didn't have time to think about it. The chair she was sitting on and the table in front of her slid forward, creating a violent friction with the ground, making a long creaking sound. Bullets whizzed behind her. Ah! The guests on the cruise ship cried out in alarm and fled in all directions. F***CK. On a lighthouse far away, a shadow holding a sniper rifle cursed. The shot was a sure kill shot, but it was dodged. It was that man. He couldn't believe that someone's reaction was so fast. Through the standard scope, he could clearly see that Jiang Xiu only moved after he fired the gun. After the first shot was dodged, he immediately followed up with a second shot. The third shot all missed. Now the entire cruise ship was in chaos. People were running for their lives everywhere. In such a chaotic situation, it was impossible for him to hit the target. The best assassin wouldn't continue fighting if he didn't hit the target in one shot. His gun was the most advanced modern product, made in Germany, with a shooting range of 1,200 meters. At such a long distance, it was impossible to judge his position. Therefore, he didn't need to be anxious. He began to disassemble the gun leisurely and put it back into the gun case. Then he went down from the lighthouse. Everything was done slowly. "Someone wants to kill me?" Jiang Xiu said. "It seems that not only will you anger me, you will also anger someone else." His eyes slowly turned pitch black as he looked at the dark lake in the middle of the night. Finally, he locked onto the lighthouse. "You stay here. I'll be back soon." The man pulled a rope from the lighthouse and tied it to the handle of the gun case. Then he threw the gun case into the water. The gun case was waterproof and sank directly into the water. Then he jumped on the speedboat and fled to the distance. He took out his phone. Boss, I missed yes. Suddenly, his eyes widened in disbelief. He shook his head hard. How is this possible? Following his line of sight, he saw a person walking over leisurely from afar. Damn it. This is the center of the lake. This person is walking on the water? Hello. He didn't have time to reply and involuntarily put down the phone. The person seemed to be walking very slowly, but it didn't take long for him to reach the speedboat. This time it was really shocking. He was really walking on the water. Jiang Xiu asked, "Who sent you?" He looked at Jiang Xiu in shock and swallowed with difficulty. This young man was the young man who had dinner with Wang Xintong, the person who moved faster than a bullet. "Are you a human or a ghost?" Jiang Xiu said. "I know even if you don't tell me. It's Jiang Hang." While they were talking, Jiang Xiu had already gotten on the speedboat. Only then did the other party come to his senses and threw a punch at Jiang Xiu. China's gun control was very strict. After the shooting, the police would quickly seal off the area. In order to make it easier to escape, he hid the sniper rifle in the water. He didn't have a pistol on him, so he could only fight Jiang Xiu hand to hand. However, a shrill scream spread across the lake. Jiang Xiu broke the arm that threw the punch on the spot. The other arm was also broken. Both legs were broken. In the blink of an eye, all 4 limbs were broken by Jiang Xiu. He collapsed on the speedboat, his whole body trembling and crying in pain. Jiang Xiu said, "Where is Jiang Hang?" He trembled and said, "I don't know. We keep in touch by phone. He gives me money and I do things. We don't need to meet at all." "I'm serious really," Jiang Xiu said. "Are you willing to testify in court?" The other party fell silent. Jiang Xiu said, "If you're not willing, I'll throw you into the lake. Your limbs are all broken now. If you can survive, I'll let you go. What do you think?" "No," he screamed in horror. How could anyone survive at the bottom of the lake with all 4 limbs broken? Even moving was painful. If he was thrown into the water, he would definitely die. "I'm willing to testify in court." Jiang Xiu laughed. "I'd like to see if the Jiang family will save Jiang Hang when he's about to go to jail for hiring a hitman." Because of the shooting, the police in the area soon arrived. The killer was handed over. Seeing his limbs broken, the local police were horrified. He was too cruel. However, he deserved it. He was not worthy of pity. The killer admitted that he was hired. Then the police fished up the sniper rifle from the bottom of the lake. There were fingerprints of the murderer on it. The case was soon solved. Jiang Hang was still in his villa at this time. He anxiously paced back and forth in the field. The killer's phone suddenly stopped. He didn't know what the situation was. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. The servant went to open the door. Not long after, the servant ran up. "Mr. Jiang, there are 2 policemen outside. They said they're looking for you." "Policemen?" Jiang Hang's face changed slightly. It seemed that he had screwed up. But then he smiled coldly. So what if he screwed up? These policemen wouldn't dare to touch him. "Let them wait for me downstairs." But before he finished, the 2 policemen had already come up. Their faces were serious. One of them, a young man in his 30s, took out an arrest warrant. "Jiang Hang, you're suspected of hiring a hitman to murder Miss Wang Xintong. You're arrested according to the law." Jiang Hang's face didn't show the slightest panic. "Do you know who I am? You just came to my house to arrest people. I think you don't want to work anymore." The policeman said, "You're trying to show off. No matter who you are, this is an arrest warrant. I'll arrest him even if he's the king. Handcuff him." The young man on the side rushed up. "You dare." The young man directly pressed Jiang Hang to the ground and handcuffed him. Jiang Hang struggled. There was still no panic on his face. There was only anger. "If you dare to touch me, I'll make you suffer." But in the end, he didn't shout that his father was Li Gang. When he went downstairs, he saw that there were 2 police cars parked outside. If he wanted to escape, they would try their best to catch him. But there were more interview cars on the side. When Jiang Hang was caught, countless reporters rushed up with their cameras, and the flashes kept flashing. "Mr. Jiang Hang, what grudge do you have with Miss Wang Xintong of the Zhongtian group? Why did you hire a hitman to kill her?" Do you do this kind of thing often? What's the price for hiring a hitman? The news quickly spread to the Jiang family. Bastard. Chapter 188. Jiang Heng's father, Jiang Chang, slammed his hand on the table. He was as angry as a lion, and his eyes were frightening. Lu Mei said, Jiang Chang, hurry up and get our son out. If this gets out, it'll be terrible. Where will our Jiang family's face go? Another man in his 40s said, Sis, it's not that simple. The news media is too advanced now, and with the addition of online media, this matter will spread like the wind. You know that in today's society, there are too many people who hate the rich and the powerful. They can't wait for Xiaoheng to be unlucky. This person was Lu Mei's youngest brother, Lu Renjua. Now that all the media outlets are fighting to report, the police have no choice but to do something. Lu Mei said, Then what should we do? The muscles under Jiang Chang's eyes twitched. Using the media to force the police to arrest my son. Harming my son like this, Jiang Luoxia, Zhongtian Group? Are you trying to make an enemy out of me? Overestimating themselves. I want them to pay a price 10 times, 100 times more painful than this. Lu Renjua said, Brother-in-law, the most important thing now is to get Xiaoheng out of the police station. If he stays in there for too long, it'll hurt the Jiang family's face. If the old man hears about this, we'll all be scolded. You know how much the old man cares about his face. Because the murderer admitted it in public, and the evidence was conclusive, there was no way for him to be released. The police were pressured by the victims and the media to not act recklessly. Jiang Chang said, Whoever started the trouble should end it. Give me the phone, I'll call the Wang family. For a minister like him to call a mere businessman, it was a great honor. Normally, it would be unimaginable. Lu Renjua said, Brother-in-law, there's no need to be polite with those clowns. Just call the capital's political department. Jiang Chang said, We're in the teeth of the storm now. It's not suitable for us to show our faces. Lu Renjua dialed Wang Xintong's phone, but the phone was turned off. He had to call Wang Xintong's secretary. Lu Renjua was not a human being. He was the boss of a state-owned enterprise. His position was not lower than the deputy governor. He was already very aggrieved to call a small secretary. The most hateful thing was that he met a stupid secretary. Our CEO Wang is off work now. She doesn't answer the phone during her break time. If you have anything to say, you can tell me. If it's not convenient, you can make an appointment with me. I'll check CEO Wang's schedule for you. Tomorrow is not available, and the day after tomorrow is also full. I'm sorry, Mr. Lu. If you want to make an appointment, you have to make it next week. If it's okay, I'll make an appointment. Listening to the secretary's sweet voice, the veins on Lu Renjua's forehead bulged. Do you know who I am? The secretary said. I know Lu Renjua, CEO Lu. Lu Renjua said. Can you bear the responsibility of delaying the matter? Call Wang Xintong immediately and tell her that Jiang Heng's uncle, father, is looking for him. Minister Jiang. The secretary was really frightened. Okay, I'll make the call now. Not long after, the secretary called back. Her voice was still as sweet as ever. CEO Lu, our CEO Wang really can't make the time. Can you make it next week in the morning? If it's possible, have Minister Jiang come to her office for a meeting. Bastard. Lu Renjua almost smashed the phone. Who do you think you are, Wang Xintong? You dare to make Minister Jiang wait? You really don't know what's good for you. Jiang Chang, who was listening to the conversation, was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. Even the feudal lords of the various provinces would find it difficult to meet him. Brother-in-law, this Wang Xintong really doesn't know what's good for her. Jiang Chang said coldly, Stop all of his businesses in the capital. A small businessman, whose lifeline was in his hands, still dared to jump around. That night, all of the Zhongtian Group's projects and businesses were ordered to suspend operations. However, what was unexpected was that Wang Xintong still did not make the call. In this period of time, 4 hours had already passed. Jiang Chang's family had no way to rest. Late at night, the lights in the Jiang family's courtyard were still on. There were originally 3 people, But now there were even more people, all of them from Jiang Chang's faction. There were more than 10 people, but the atmosphere did not relax at all. Instead, it became even more oppressive. The longer Jiang Heng stayed inside, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. What do we do? Jiang Chang stood on the balcony, his hands on his hips. He held a cigarette in his right hand. He knew that the chances of the other party calling tonight were not low. Zhongtian Group's businesses in the capital were not the core of Jiang Luoxia and Wang Xintong's businesses. More accurately, it was a very small part. After all, this group had only been in the capital for less than half a year. Stopping their businesses in the capital would not hurt their foundation. Jiang Luoxia's Real Foundation was in Jiangnan. Minister Jiang, it's already 3 o'clock. Why don't you go rest first? We'll keep watch here. Jiang Chang shook his head and said, everyone should go back. Nothing will happen today. He was right. That night, Wang Xintong did not call. All of their follow-up plans to appease the media and take Jiang Heng out of the police station could not be carried out. They waited until 7 o'clock in the morning. Jiang Chang called Gu Deji in the Jiangnan frontier. He wanted to really shake Jiang Luoxia's foundation and let him know the power of the Jiang family. Brother Deji. Gu Deji was still a little sleepy. Minister Jiang, why are you calling so early in the morning? Is there something urgent? Jiang Chang said, there is indeed something I need Brother Deji's cooperation with. Jiang Luoxia's behavior is very problematic. All of his businesses in Jiangnan have to be closed down for rectification. Jiang Luoxia? You mean Mr. Jiang? Yes. Although Gu Deji was extremely afraid of the Jiang family, Mr. Jiang was his benefactor. He was very close to the Gu family and was a demigod master. Speaking of which, the Gu family and Jiang Luoxiao in Jiangnan, one in the white and one in the black, looked after each other and could be considered partners. Minister Jiang, Jiang Luoxia has a lot of businesses in Jiangnan. Not to mention all of them, even if 1 or 2 of them are stopped, the impact on Jiangnan will be huge. I can't bear this risk. Please forgive me, Jiang Chang said. Brother Deji, why do you need me to make things clear? This person openly goes against the Jiang family. The Jiang family will definitely make him pay. Brother Deji is almost there. If you help, the Jiang family will definitely help. Otherwise, you will be the enemy of the Jiang family. Gu Deji said, Minister Jiang, are you threatening me? Jiang Chang said, no, I'm reminding you. Gu Deji said, I'm also telling you very clearly that not only will Mr. Jiang's businesses not be stopped, but the whole of Jiangnan will also support you. After saying that, he hung up the phone with a clang. His attitude was extremely firm. Hearing the busy tone on the other end of the phone, Jiang Chang felt a surge of anger in his chest. He also hung up the phone fiercely. With his hands on his waist, he paced back and forth in the room several times. He couldn't speak for a long time. Lu Mei pushed the door open and came in. Jiang Chang, how is it? Xiao Heng has been in the police station for the whole night. Jiang Chang shook his head. He never expected that the Jiangnan frontier dared to go against the Jiang family and support Jiang Luoxia. This disrupted all his plans. That path won't work. We can only go through the legal system. However, this matter can be big or small. I don't dare to make a decision. I'm afraid we have to go through the old man. Lu Mei said. If the old man knows about this, will he have a bad impression of Xiao Heng? This matter can't be covered up anymore. When the television was turned on, it was all about the 3rd generation of the Quan family hiring a hitman. That night, Jiang Xiu didn't go back to school. He slept at Wang Xintong's house. Because of this, Lin Yueling didn't find him. Wang Xintong personally cooked noodles for Jiang Xiu. She ate bread, ham and fried eggs. It was very Western. I just received a call from Gu Shu. He called you, but your phone was out of battery. He said that Gu Shu called him early this morning and asked him to stop all business in Jiangnan. He was rejected by Gu Shu. Jiang Xiu nodded slightly. Wang Xintong asked, are the noodles delicious? It's not as good as my mom's. Wang Xintong said, I don't dare to compare myself to Auntie. What do you think they will do next? Will Jiang Chang directly intervene in the legal system and forcefully clear his name? Jiang Xiu put down his chopsticks and said, "Now that we're in the teeth of the storm, Jiang Chong will definitely have to pay attention to the impact. He won't dare to make this decision. It's up to the old man to save him." In his mind, he remembered that stormy night when his mother brought him to kneel in front of the closed door. Chapter 189. Jiang Heng's case could be said to be conclusive evidence. If he was acquitted, with his special identity, everyone would know that the Jiang family was behind this. In this case, no matter who in the Jiang family came forward, the whole Jiang family and Grandpa Jiang would be blamed for this. Therefore, Jiang Chong had to explain this matter to Grandpa Jiang. At noon, all the major TV stations and mainstream online media removed the relevant videos from the ranking list and stopped all reports. "I can't see it anymore." Wang Xintong sat by the table and chair beside the lotus pond. She leaned forward, holding her chin with her left hand, and operating her laptop with her right hand. "It's all removed." Jiang Xiu's face was gloomy. "Murder. You were willing to risk the world's condemnation to save him. You were framed and put in jail, but you just stood by and watched. Good, very good." Wang Xintong said. "If nothing unexpected happens, that bastard will be able to swagger out of the police station soon. I can't accept it." Jiang Xiu threw the fish food in his hand into the pond and clapped his hands. "The law can't punish you. I'll punish you." At the entrance of the police station, Jiang Heng walked out tiredly. This night, he did not receive any so-called hospitality. He only stayed for one night. But for a young master like him in the capital, it was simply a huge humiliation. And all of this humiliation was bestowed upon him by that damned woman and Jiang Luoxia. Young Master Hang. His parents didn't come to avoid suspicion. It was the vice president of his company who came to pick him up. His name was Chen Dalu. "Where are my parents and uncle?" Chen Dalu said. "Young Master Hang, this matter is very big. The media reported it very fiercely. In order to get you out, they alarmed old Master Jiang. Mr. Jiang, Madam Jiang, and Mr. Lu didn't come to avoid suspicion. They are now waiting for you at home." Jiang Heng frowned. "Alarmed old Master Jiang?" "Yes." Jiang Heng sat in the car with a gloomy face. He knew that this meant that he would lose a lot of points in front of the old man. There were many children in the Jiang family, but their resources were limited. Whoever the old man favored would be able to rise to the top. Whoever the old man didn't favor would be dispirited. The old man's words could determine their future. "It's all because of that bitch." Jiang Heng fiercely punched the seat of the carriage. It was originally a great opportunity for him to perform meritorious deeds, but now it was ruined, making him a useless person. "Give me the phone." He dialed Wang Xintong's number. Wang Xintong looked at the phone and her pretty face changed. "Jiang Heng, you're out." Jiang Heng's magnetic voice sounded. "Miss Wang, thanks to you, I stayed in the police station for a whole night. I won't let this go. You were lucky last time, but your luck won't be so good every time. We're not done yet." Suddenly, the car made a loud noise. Chen Dalu quickly stopped the car and got out of the car to check. Jiang Heng saw a man beside the car. He opened the door and saw a young man. He realized that something was wrong and wanted to shout, but he was pulled out by the young man. He felt light all over and was dragged out. "Help!" Chen Dalu looked over and saw the back door open. The car was empty. Jiang Heng was nowhere to be seen. He looked around and didn't see Jiang Heng on the road. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. "Young Master Heng, young Master Heng." Jiang Heng was thrown to the ground by the young man like garbage. Jiang Heng looked at the young man in front of him. He knew that the person in front of him should be a martial artist. In terms of strength, he was no match for him. "You, who are you? How dare you kidnap me?" In this life, Jiang Heng didn't know him, but Jiang Xiu couldn't be more familiar with his face. "Who am I? Haven't you always wanted to meet me?" Jiang Heng said. "Who are you?" Jiang Xiu said. "Jiang Luoxiao of Jiangcheng." "It's you." Jiang Heng was shocked. He didn't expect Mr. Jiang of Jiangnan to be so young. He thought that he would be a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. He didn't expect him to be so young. "You, what do you want?" Jiang Xiu's eyes were as cold as ice. "What do you think I'll do?" Wang Xintong is my woman. You sent someone to assassinate her. What do you think I'll do? Jiang Heng saw that something was wrong and turned to run. But as soon as he took a step, he felt his legs become soft. He felt that his legs were strangely twisted. His legs had been broken on the spot by a force. Ah! Jiang Heng screamed in pain. He saw that his legs were twisted above his thighs. Not only him, but anyone who saw it would be horrified. My legs, he screamed at the top of his lungs. Don't come over, don't. He picked up a wooden stick from the ground and waved it around. Jiang Xiu grabbed his arm. Kacha kacha. Accompanied by the sound of two bones breaking, another blood-curdling scream rang out from the alley. Both of his arms had been forcibly broken. Ah! Jiang Heng collapsed on the ground like mud. His whole body trembled and he screamed. He tried to raise his head, but his face was red. The muscles on his face were trembling because of the pain. Bean-sized beads of sweat kept falling. In the end, he fainted because of the pain. Jiang Xiu stuffed him into the car and drove to the Jiang family. So this is the Jiang family. He saw the door that left a deep impression on him when he was 5 years old, and the big banyan tree at the door. At this time, the door was open. Jiang Xiu thought to himself, I should have known that it was Dad who was in trouble. The Lin family couldn't help. They could only beg the Jiang family. The sound of the car alarmed the people inside. A few people came out. It was Jiang Chong and the others. Jiang Xiu opened the door and threw Jiang Heng directly out of the car. Due to the inertia of the car, his whole body rolled on the ground several times like a piece of goods. Who dared to make trouble in front of the Jiang family? Jiang Chong saw this scene and was angry in his heart. But when he saw the person on the ground, his brain exploded. The person lying on the ground was his son who had just come out of the police station. It's Jiang Heng. Jiang Heng's limbs on the ground were completely twisted out of shape. He was also unconscious. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. Jiang Heng. Lu Mei screamed at the top of her lungs and rushed forward. Jiang Heng. Everyone couldn't bear to look anymore. Even if Jiang Heng survived in this state, he would be a cripple. Jiang Cheng's heart sank. His legs went soft and he knelt beside his son. His lips trembled violently and silent tears fell from his eyes. He only had one son. Who is it? Who is so cruel? Everyone present knew that at this moment. Who else could it be? It could only be Jiang Luoxia of Jiangnan. Jiang Heng sent someone to assassinate Wang Xintong. Jiang Luoxia now crippled Jiang Heng. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. Quick, call the doctor. Hearing the noise, the people in the courtyard ran out one after another. What happened? Seeing Jiang Heng lying on the ground, they all widened their eyes in shock. The news quickly spread to the courtyard. Old Master Zhang's eyes widened when he heard the news. The crutch in his hand fell hard and broke into 2 pieces. How dare you? He roared angrily. How dare you cripple the descendant of the Jiang family? The Jiang family was full of curses and cries. Anger and grief shrouded this glorious house. The Jiang family had never been so miserable. It was too painful. Old Master Jiang was as angry as a lion. No matter what method we use, no matter what price we have to pay, we must make Jiang Luoxia pay with blood. Jiang Heng was sent to the hospital. After the doctor's preliminary diagnosis, he had broken his limbs in many places and his spine was injured. There was hope for him to survive, but the broken parts had to be operated on dozens of times. No one could bear such torture. The doctor suggested amputation, especially the left leg, which was the most serious. Before they could come to a conclusion, Jiang Heng had already been sent to the emergency room. If they were late, he would lose his life. Outside the operating room, many people of the Jiang family gathered here. Countless experts and professors in white coats came and went, discussing the treatment plan for Jiang Heng. But no matter what, there would not be an ideal result. Let's amputate. Even if we keep him, he will be crippled. Hearing this, old Master Zhang's heart bled, and the corners of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. He roared angrily, immediately stop all of Jiang Luoxia's businesses, and then inform the police to arrest Jiang Luoxia. Chapter 190. No one had ever dared to provoke the Jiang family. No one had ever dared to cripple a member of the Jiang family, and even drove him to the entrance of old Master Jiang's residence. How arrogant and unbridled was this arrogance! The Jiang family would never let him off. Only by paying him back 1,000 times over could they wash away this humiliation. Only then could they let the murderer know the consequences of offending the Jiang family, and make him regret his past actions. An old man in his 60s who was dressed very old-fashioned also agreed angrily. Since Jiang Luoxia dares to be so bold, we must make him unable to bear the consequences. Jiang Luoxia's reputation in Jiangnan is very glorious. Even Gu Dezhi gave him face. My calls were useless. Jiang Chang seemed to have aged more than 10 years. His eyes were a little dull. The old man said, the Gu family has declined, and Gu Dezhi is about to reach his limit. He dares not to give face to the Jiang family, because he has no more desires. However, Gu Dezhi is not the only one who has the final say in Jiangnan. It's not easy to stop Jiang Luoxia's business. Jiang Chang said, Old Xiao is right. There are many people who can do things. Even if Gu Dezhi wants to protect him, he can't. A strong old man on the side said, but it's difficult to catch Jiang Luoxia. Old Master Jiang's eyes widened. Fu Tenggu, you're a member of the Fu family. Can't you deal with a mere underground martial artist in Jiangnan? Fu Tenggu said, Old Master, you don't know. In the martial arts world, this person is really in the limelight. Countless Chinese martial artists regard him as the new Si Wuxia. Si Wuxia? Old Master Jiang said. You mean that Si Wuxia in the Shishu Palace? He's the one who shocked World War II decades ago and survived the atomic bomb. Fu Tenggu said. That's right. He's also the representative of the Chinese martial arts world on the demigod ranking. Everyone was shocked. You're saying that this Jiang Luoxia? Fu Tenggu nodded solemnly, descending from the 9 mysteries to cleanse the heavens, 1,000 years of hard work. Even if you don't know where you're at, you're still outstanding. Jiang Luoxia of Jiangnan's newly ascended demigod ranking is ranked 11th. Boom. All the members of the Jiang family present felt as if their brains were about to explode. Jiang Luoxia is a demigod? Many people did not know about demigods, but the Jiang family stood at the top of the pyramid. How could they not know? Fu Tenggu said. That's right. The scariest thing about this person is that he's still very young. He's not even 20 yet. Many martial artists have concluded that his future is limitless. He might even become the leader of Hua Nation's underground martial arts. Oof. Old Master Jiang snorted coldly. He dares to act so recklessly just because he knows some martial arts. Is such a person worthy of leading China's underground martial arts? Fu Tenggu smiled bitterly. It's really difficult to catch a demigod. Old Master Jiang said. If you can't catch him, kill him. I will take care of this matter. Old Master Jiang's age was from World War II. That was the era when demigods ran rampant. He had seen the true face of the world and knew how terrifying demigods were. In fact, he had even heard of the chaotic war between warlords. An army of hundreds of people could not do anything to an immortal state warrior. However, times had changed. Technology was more advanced. In the past, guns could only hit 50 meters away. Sometimes, the barrel of the gun would be blocked. The power of the gun was completely different from the current one. However, the power of a demigod was still shocking. When the atomic bomb fell, there were more than 30 demigods in each country. However, only 3 of them survived. One of them, Si Wuxia, reclaimed the name of China's martial arts and became one of the top martial artists in China. In the blink of an eye, 60 years had passed. Don't let the news of what happened today get out. Yes, sir. All the businesses of the Zhongtian group were suspended. Wang Xintong stayed at home and waited for news from Jiang Xiao. However, she waited and waited, but did not see him. She guessed that Jiang Xiao must have finished his business and returned to school. Dad, Wang Xuetong called. Xintong, Dad is in the capital. I won't look for you. It's too troublesome to go back and forth. I'll fly to Europe immediately from the airport, and buy the mining equipment and technology as soon as possible. Oh, okay. I heard that all the businesses in the capital have been suspended? Wang Xintong said. Yes, But it's not a problem for us. The stock market of the Jinjin Group is the main focus. I was just worried that I didn't have time to reorganize the resources of the Jinjin Group. Wang Xuetong said. You can do as you see fit. However, Dad received news that Mr. Zhang's mother has come to the capital. I don't know the specific reason. Maybe she's here to visit Mr. Jiang. You know what Dad means, right? Sometimes it was better to please the Empress Dowager than to please the main character. Wang Xintong was shocked. The old lady is here. Lin Yueling was only in her 40s. She was not at the level of the so-called old lady, but many people called Lin Yueling this way in private to express a sense of respect. However, if Lin Yueling heard it, she might go berserk. When did it happen? Wang Xuetong said. Last night's flight. Last night? Oh no. Wang Xintong cried out. This was a big problem. Jiang Xiu spent the night at her place last night, and this guy's mobile phone was turned off. If Lin Yueling couldn't find him, it was very likely that she would go directly to school. Wang Xintong had already guessed the purpose of Lin Yueling's visit. Of course, it was for Jiang Xiu and Cheng Lingsu. She quickly hung up the phone and wanted to call Jiang Xiu, but she remembered that his mobile phone was still turned off. Jiang Xiu was not very interested in the mobile phone. Unlike other university students who were always holding it in their hands and chatting with all kinds of games. When he returned to school, he was told that today's class had been suspended. This exploration accident had a huge impact on the archaeology department. Many classes had been suspended, so the students who mainly focused on archaeology often had no classes. When he passed by the dormitory building, the dormitory auntie looked at him thoughtfully. Just as she was about to call out to him, Jiang Xiu had already walked up the stairs. The dormitory auntie picked up a phone number left on the table and called. Is it Ms. Lin? I think I saw your son come back just now. Walking into the dormitory, Zhou Jin and Zhang Yiwei were playing games together. Zhou Jin said without turning his head. Jiang Xiu, you're back. Someone is looking for you. She said it's your mother. Jiang Xiu had just fallen on the bed when he sat up. Are you serious? Don't fool me. A bad premonition arose in his heart. His mother might really come. Zhou Jin said with a serious face. It's true. And she looks quite angry. She looks like she's questioning us. She scared us. Your mother is quite fierce. Jiang Xiu frowned and muttered to himself. It seemed that she really came. He took out his phone and realized that it had been turned off. He quickly connected it to the power line. At this moment, the dormitory auntie brought Lin Yueling over. Seeing Lin Yueling standing at the door of the dormitory with her luggage, Jiang Xiu said sadly, Mom, why are you here? Lin Yueling said, You still have the face to say. Seeing so many classmates in the dormitory, her anger temporarily suppressed. Her son also wanted face. It was not appropriate for her to scold him in front of so many people. You've been here for so long. Mom has to come and see you. Come out with me. Jiang Xiu had to bite the bullet and go out. He even reached out and took the luggage from his mother. It was so heavy. There were a lot of things inside. It seemed that they were prepared for a long battle. After leaving the dormitory building with Lin Yueling was full of anger and wanted to vent. But when she saw her son, she could not scold him. She said helplessly, Mom and Dad have thought about it. You're too far away from the capital. We plan to transfer you to another school. What a joke. Was there a school bigger and better than the capital in China? But Jiang Xiu understood Lin Yueling's purpose. Transfer to where? Lin Yueling said, Jiangnan University. It's also a very good school. Jiang Xiu said, School has already started. It's not so easy to transfer to another school. Are you trying to play tricks with your mom? Even Gu Shu gave you some face. How difficult can it be for you to transfer to another school? If you can't do it, I'll personally go to Gu Shu. Lin Yueling's attitude was very firm. It's settled. Your dad and I both have the same idea. Jiang Xiu said. Mom, I don't want to transfer. What a joke. The show had just begun. Lin Yueling said. If you don't want to transfer, fine. Promise Mom one thing. What? Lin Yueling said. It's very simple. Marry Susu. Chapter 191. Lin Yueling thought about it on the way here. What the Jiang family needed the most about Jiang Xiu was his marriage with the Nangong family, which could unite the Nangong family around them. On this point, the Jiang family's needs were expanding day by day. In order to prevent Jiang Xiu from becoming a victim of political marriage and living under the control of the Jiang family, the best way was to let Jiang Xiu complete the marriage agreement with Su Su. If Jiang Xiu got married, then everything would be different. The Jiang family wouldn't be able to use Jiang Xiu anymore. Even if the Jiang family still didn't give up, the Nangong family might also have objections. They couldn't let their granddaughter marry a divorced man. If they could have a child earlier, then it would be more stable. Jiang Xiu's eyes widened. What? You want me to marry Chengling Su? Lin Yueling said. Yes, either you get married or come back to Jiangnan with me. Now that Jiang Xiu was considered successful, they were even more worried. They knew the Jiang family too well. With the Jiang family's nature, they definitely couldn't bear to see Jiang Xiu doing well. They would definitely suppress or even destroy Jiang Xiu. Jiang Xiu said, Why? Lin Yueling said, There's no why. Just tell me if you want to listen to your mother or not. If you don't, then you're unfilial. I gave birth to you for nothing and raised you for nothing. Jiang Xiu said, Mom, can you be more reasonable? Lin Yueling said firmly, No, when my husband was in jail and was being pointed at behind his back, who would be reasonable with you? When I went to the fruit market to buy groceries and couldn't move them, who would be reasonable with you? When you couldn't gather enough money for school fees, I starved for 10 days and only ate one biscuit a day to save 50 yuan, who would be reasonable with you? At this point, Lin Yueling's eyes turned red, and tears almost fell. Jiang Xiu lowered his head in shame and didn't dare to speak. He knew that his mother was using emotional attacks, but he couldn't refute her because what she said was true. All these years, she had suffered the most in the family. The worst thing was that this was the entrance of the dormitory. There were people coming and going, and students passing by from time to time. It was really embarrassing. Jiang Xiu said, Mom, where are you staying now? I'll take you to the hotel first. Lin Yueling's eyes were red. She shook off Jiang Xiu's hand, which was about to support her, and said, Don't try to change the topic. You can either get married or go back to Jiangnan. Choose. Jiang Xiu felt helpless. His mother was really not easy to deal with. Mom, you have to give me some time to think about it. Lin Yueling sat by the flower bed. You think about it. I'll wait. Her attitude was as if she wouldn't rest until Jiang Xiu was dead. Jiang Xiu felt his head hurt. Even though he had roamed the immortal martial continent for 3,000 years, experienced countless life and death situations, and experienced the joys and sorrows of partings and reunions, he was at his wits' end. The students coming and going looked at him from time to time. Everyone could see that the mother and son were quarreling. The horny students from the same dormitory stood in the corridor, gossiping about the situation downstairs. Mom, Jiang Xiu sat down beside Lin Yueling. It was really hard to imagine that his mother was the unruly daughter of the Lin clan. Believe me, Su Su is definitely not a good match for me. At most, she can enjoy happiness with me, but it's impossible for her to go through thick and thin with me. Lin Yueling said, What's the problem with that? Jiang Xiu said, Isn't that a problem? Lin Yueling said, Let's not talk about whether or not Su Su is the kind of person you're talking about. In this society, how many people aren't like that? Husband and wife are birds of the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly away separately. Human nature is very weak and can't withstand the test at all. So don't test yourself. How many people live out their lives peacefully? Mom won't force you to make a decision immediately. Think about it slowly. In any case, I even brought my autumn clothes. This was really ruthless. Jiang Xiu couldn't help but praise his mother. Okay, I'll go back to Jiangnan with you. Jiangnan was a 5 to 6 hour drive from Hangzhou. When we returned to Jiangnan, she can't always be by my side, right? Jiang Xiu said. Are you satisfied now? Okay, get up. I'll send you back to the hotel, Lin Yueling said. When we return to Jiangnan, I'll marry Su Su. Mom, spiritual cultivation was really about to collapse. Can you be reasonable? Lin Yueling said. No, my husband is in jail. Stop, Jiang Xiu said. In the end, you're just forcing me to marry Cheng Lingsu. But now she has a boyfriend and wants to break off the engagement. What's the point of getting married? It's fake. She said it. Jiang Xiu angrily exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. This woman actually dared to disobey his orders and tell the truth. She was really tired of living. You forced her. Jiang Xiu made an innocent expression. He opened his mouth and looked very speechless. I forced her. She's greedy and vain. Her current boyfriend is from the Song family, the richest family in Shanghai. He's also very handsome. Lin Yueling said. How long has it been? It's only been 10 days. Su is a very reserved girl. I can see that she's very proud. No matter how outstanding a man is, it's impossible to win his heart without 2 to 3 years. Jiang Xiu said. That's why I said she's greedy and vain. Lin Yueling's face turned cold. Don't pour dirty water on Su. You made the Cheng family bankrupt and destroyed the Tang family to avenge our family. Your mother must be amazed by your means. You're the famous Mr. Jiang in Jiangnan. Su is just a little girl. Even if she had 10 guts, she wouldn't dare to flirt outside. Jiang Xiu couldn't help but admire his mother's judgment. Back at the convenience store, he had wanted to draw a clear line between him and Cheng Lingsu, so that they could put an end to their past lives. He had told her to find a boyfriend, but he couldn't guarantee that Cheng Lingsu would take it as an order and force her to submit to him. Mr. Jiang. You have nothing to say? Lin Yueling took out a booklet from her carry-on bag and patted it in her palm. Then let's hit it while it's hot. I even brought the household register. Spiritual Cultivation almost vomited blood when he saw the slightly modeled household register. His mother really had enough. You're really well prepared. Of course. I never fight a battle that I'm not sure of. Jiang Xiu said. Mom, so what if we're married? A marriage certificate can't form a family without feelings. It's better than not even having a marriage certificate. She was really his biological mother. Jiang Xiu was dragged out of the school by Lin Yueling. He fully carried the style of striking while the iron was hot to avoid any more problems. He didn't even go back to the hotel. He dragged his heavy luggage and went straight to the University of Huaguo. Jiang Xiu was quite calm along the way. Before arriving at the University of Huaguo, Lin Yueling took out her phone and called Cheng Lingsu. As a native of Beijing, she was still very familiar with the main roads. She even remembered the small alleys in places that hadn't been extensively renovated. The timing was just right. Su, it's Auntie, Cheng Lingsu said. Auntie, I still have something to do, Lin Yueling said. Don't hang up. I'm coming to your school gate right now. Ah. Cheng Lingsu was in class, and it was a big class. She cried out involuntarily. Everyone looked at her in unison. She hurriedly bowed and apologized to them. Then she ran out of the classroom. Auntie, why are you here? I'll come to the school gate right away. Okay. Lin Yueling saw a flower shop by the roadside and signaled the driver to stop the car. Then she pulled Jiang Xiu out of the car and sold him a big bouquet of roses. Take it. A scholar can be killed but not humiliated. Take it. Jiang Xiu had no choice but to reach out and take it. Then he followed Lin Yueling to the University of Huaguo. The entrance of the University of Huaguo was also very grand. Although it was class time, there were still many students coming and going. A young girl in plain white clothes ran out in her canvas shoes. Auntie. Cheng Lingsu didn't just see Lin Yueling. She also saw that the big bad guy was holding a bouquet of roses in his hands. The flower language of roses was the word for love. However, the expression on his face was as if he had nothing to live for. The girl scratched her head in confusion and couldn't help but stop in her tracks. As October approached, the imperial capital had a slight hint of autumn. There were trees on both sides, swaying gently in the wind. Sunlight scattered through the leaves, covering them with a layer of autumn beauty. The world seemed to have changed. Some say it. Jiang Xiu still looked like he had nothing to live for. Say what? Propose. Cheng Lingsu widened her eyes in disbelief. Was this a joke? What was Auntie doing? She actually wanted Jiang Xiu to propose to her? Was she hallucinating? Jiang Xiu was even more incredulous. Mom, that's enough. Hurry. Jiang Xiu said. Mom, you're joking, right? If you don't propose then, there's the road opposite. I'll kill myself for you. Chapter 192. The main road was right in front of the school. Cars were coming and going. If this person rushed out, the consequences were self-evident. Lin Yueling said, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to propose or not? Jiang Xiu didn't believe that Lin Yueling would rush out of the road. Was there anyone in the world who wasn't afraid of death? Although he knew it was impossible, Lin Yueling's words were still vivid in his mind. She had done so much for this family and for him for so many years. He really didn't have the courage to say no. Cheng Lingsu was stunned. She was much more innocent than Jiang Xiu. She was really frightened by Lin Yueling's attitude of coming all the way here to force her to marry. For a moment, she didn't know what to do. But under this appearance, she was even more shy. No boy had held a bouquet of flowers and confessed to her in public. No, directly proposed to her. Jiang Xiu said, Please, I beg. Lin Yueling was delighted. Cheng Lingsu looked at Jiang Xiu with a pair of beautiful big eyes. She nervously clutched her dress. Her mind was blank. She slowly lowered her head and looked at the tip of her shoes. She didn't know what to do. Son, hurry up. What are you waiting for? Lin Yueling reached out and pushed Jiang Xiu. Jiang Xiu was pushed by his mother. After walking for a while, his feet seemed to be filled with lead. He couldn't move no matter what. Suddenly, an idea came to him. Mom, I can't propose without a ring. Ah. Lin Yueling suddenly understood and slapped herself on the forehead. Jiang Xiu felt as if he had been pardoned and finally stopped at the brink of crisis. Unexpectedly, the older, the wiser. Lin Yueling took out a ring from her bag and said, I've prepared a ring for you. Your father bought this for me years ago. No matter how poor I was, I couldn't bear to sell it. I said that I would pass it on to my daughter-in-law, so. As she spoke, she took out a ring that actually had diamonds on it. With such ample preparation, Lin Yueling felt that there was no reason for her not to win. Jiang Xiu once again showed an expression of hopelessness. Then the ring and the roses are all here. Propose. Jiang Xiu said, Mom, he couldn't deal with his own mother, but he didn't have any scruples when dealing with Cheng Lingsu. His eyes became very cold, but it was useless. Now Cheng Lingsu's face was red, and she lowered her head to look at her toes. Her long and black eyelashes fluttered gently, so she couldn't see his eyes at all. The bastard suddenly laughed and said, It's an arranged marriage since we were children. What's the point of proposing? According to me, just get a marriage certificate and be done with it. Lin Yueling said, No, a proposal is very important for a girl. I still remember the scene when your father proposed to me. A girl's life is incomplete if she hasn't been proposed to. Hurry up. Seeing Jiang Xiu dawdling and pushing left and right, making the scene very ugly, Lin Yueling was afraid that Cheng Lingsu, who was opposite, would also feel uncomfortable at this time, so she grabbed Jiang Xiu's hands and went over. The ring in the left hand, and the rose in the right. At this time, Cheng Lingsu's face was red and she didn't dare to raise her head at all. Her slender and white jade hand was touched by the bright red rose. She didn't know what she was thinking, but she was very passive and took the rose. Then her right hand was grabbed by someone. She felt that there were several hands, yes, several hands, awkwardly putting a ring on her finger. Okay, it's done. At first, there were only 1 or 2 students around, but now there were more than a dozen people gathered. These days, the onlookers liked this kind of scene. This classmate is awesome. No, his mother is awesome. She actually helped her son pick up girls. Why don't I have such a mother? One of the boys said, Isn't that girl, isn't she the new campus belle Cheng Lingsu of the finance department? Seems like it. Lin Yueling was in a good mood, as if the rain in Jiangnan had suddenly cleared up after a month of rain. She said, Okay, the ceremony is done, the ceremony is done. Cheng Lingsu didn't dare to raise her head even more. She looked at the tip of her foot, then the tip of her left foot, then the tip of her right foot. She felt very shy and embarrassed. At this time, even her ears were red, but under this embarrassment, she didn't have any disgust. She even had a trace of joy in her heart, which even she herself didn't understand. Jiang Xiu on the side looked like he had nothing left to live for. He snorted in his heart. What kind of ceremony was giving a rose and a ring? If they didn't get a marriage certificate, what was the difference between this and an engagement? Lin Yueling said. Okay, Su, don't go to class today. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with the Department of Minor Repairs to get a marriage certificate. Getting a marriage certificate not only required the groom's household register, but also the groom's household register. Mom, you have everything, but there's still a loophole. Where did Cheng Lingsu get her household register? Cheng Lingsu slowly raised her head at this time and glanced at Jiang Xiu. The shyness and joy that came out of nowhere gradually faded, and calmness returned to her brain. She said, Auntie, I don't have my household register. How about next time? Lin Yueling said. Su, did you forget? Before I came, I called your parents. They said that the household register is with you. You said that the capital's housing prices are rising quickly, and buying a house is an investment. Buying a house requires a household register. Ah. Cheng Lingsu didn't expect Lin Yueling to be so well prepared. She even called her parents in advance to ask for her household register, and her lie was exposed on the spot. Ah, right. I forgot. The household register is with me, Lin Yueling said. Go get it quickly. We'll wait for you. It was really bad luck. She actually thought of buying a house as an investment, and even brought her household register with her. Jiang Xiu really regretted giving her 1 million yuan. She didn't have the money to buy a house, but he had to admit that Cheng Lingsu had a good eye for investment. Now, she could buy a house with a few 100,000 yuan. In the future, she could only buy a toilet. Oh. Cheng Lingsu turned and walked to the dormitory. She raised her head and looked at the ring on her slender right ring finger. The ring was very beautiful, and even the size was very suitable. But this ring was put on by Jiang Xiu under the pressure of his mother. What should she do? She looked back at Jiang Xiu, but unexpectedly, Lin Yueling kept staring at her and waved her hand. Hurry up. Oh. Cheng Lingsu quickened her pace and rushed to the dormitory. The female dormitory was much cleaner than the male dormitory. There were also 4 people in a dormitory. However, the environment of the dormitory was very good. It was more than 30 square meters, and with some small decorations, it was very warm. When she opened the door and entered, there was a classmate who was watching an idol drama in the dormitory because she felt uncomfortable. Su, you also skipped class? Rose, you went on a date with someone? Miao Xiaolin's eyes burst with a raging fire of gossip. Her physical discomfort was forgotten. Who? Is it Song Ronghao? Cheng Lingsu shook her head. She came to the edge of her bed and sat on it. She was in a half-daze. Miao Xiaolin stuck to her like a plaster. Which rich and handsome guy is it? Tell me, I'll check for you. Cheng Lingsu looked up at her good friend. Her eyes were a little blurred. Lin, I might be getting married. What? Marriage? Damn, Su, you're playing big. Really? Cheng Lingsu nodded. Look. She raised her right hand. The ring on her ring finger was very eye-catching. There was a special way to wear a ring. The ring on the ring finger was a wedding ring. Damn, you're serious. Tell me, what's going on? Miao Xiaolin's eyes burned with the fire of gossip. Cheng Lingsu said, it's hard to explain in a sentence or two. She reached for her bedside and took out her household register. Wait. Seeing the register, Miao Xiaolin stopped her and said seriously, Su, are you really going to get married? Have you thought it through? Do you like him? Cheng Lingsu muttered to herself. Her eyes were full of confusion. I don't know. Miao Xiaolin said. Then does he like you? Cheng Lingsu said. Why would I want him to like me? Whether he likes me or not, it's none of my business. Miao Xiaolin was stunned. This girl had a personality. Cheng Lingsu grabbed the register and walked out of the dormitory. Miao Xiaolin shouted behind her. Su, wait for me. Do you want me to go with you? She wanted to witness a miracle, but when she rushed to the door, she found herself in her pajamas. She had no choice but to retreat. Then she took out her phone and sent a message to her roommates. The content was earth-shattering. Su Su is going to get married to a strange man and is already at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Chapter 193. Seeing that Cheng Lingsu really dared to come back with the household register, Jiang Xiu's face was as cold as water. This woman could say that she couldn't find it by saying that she lost it or couldn't find it. Give it to me. Lin Yueling reached out and took the household register. With the other hand, she held Cheng Lingsu's hand and went to stop the car. Jiang Xiu followed behind and had to help his mother carry the luggage. Jiang Xiu was still hoping in his heart. According to China's marriage laws, he and Cheng Lingsu had not reached the legal age. Even if they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau, they couldn't get a marriage certificate. Today was neither a holiday nor a special day. Therefore, except for a few divorcees, there was basically no one at the Civil Affairs Bureau. There was no need to queue. Lin Yueling said, "Wait for me, I'll make a phone call." This phone call destroyed Jiang Xiu's last hope. These days, to do something, as long as there were acquaintances, it was enough. Although Annan was small, there were still offices in Beijing. Even if it couldn't be done, Jiang Yi knew a few leaders now. This small matter could still be handled. Wasn't it just getting married in advance? At most, it was considered a violation. This time, Jiang Xiu saw clearly that his mother was serious with him. There was no way for him to go back on his words. He was pushed to take the marriage certificate with Cheng Lingsu. His clothes were in biology class. It was as if there was a husky standing beside him. After spending another 10 yuan and getting 2 certificates, it was actually done. One for each of you. Keep it well. Lin Yueling was full of joy. Today, she had overcome all obstacles and returned victorious. She was satisfied. Looking at the young couple in front of her, the old woman sighed. The 2 little brats who played in the mud together in the past were married. Then, she remembered little Cheng Lingsu dragging her back to the house and feeding her porridge. "Finally, you've given me something to worry about," Lin Yueling said. "The wedding banquet and whatnot, let's wait until this winter break when we get home." "Congratulations to both of you." Jiang Xiu thought to himself, "I should be the one congratulating you, Mom." Lin Yueling held Cheng Lingsu's hand. The little girl's pretty face was red all the time, like a frightened little white rabbit. She looked very flustered. Lin Yueling loved and pitied her. "Su Su, your next task is to quickly give birth to a baby for our Jiang family." Cheng Lingsu's originally red face became even redder. She thought to herself, "This kind of thing can't be done by me alone." Unable to bear the embarrassment, she said, "Auntie." Lin Yueling chuckled and said, "Stop calling me Auntie. Call me Mom." "Mom." Cheng Lingsu called out sweetly. Although her voice was very soft, it was enough for Lin Yueling to hear. This time, Lin Yueling was overjoyed. The corners of her mouth almost reached her ears. She opened her bag again, took out a red packet, and handed it over. "This is for you to change your name." Based on his mom's generosity, Jiang Xiu felt that there was a lot of money here. "All right, let's go home," Jiang Xiu asked in surprise. "Go home? Which home?" He was wailing in his heart. They were already married. His mom wouldn't be so heartless as to bring him back to Jiang City, right? "Of course it's your wedding house." "You've even prepared a wedding house?" "Of course." Lin Yueling pulled Cheng Lingsu out. "I've been waiting at your school for the whole morning. Of course I had to do something. I bought a house in my spare time." Cheng Lingsu's face darkened. Spiritual cultivation was convinced. He was completely convinced. Now that he thought about it, if he hadn't agreed to it at the entrance of the University of China, his mom might have really rushed to the road. The new house was a standalone villa in the Zhengyang district of the imperial capital. It would be the most expensive place in 10 years. The environment here was pleasant, with a natural river. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. Moreover, this building was newly opened and luxuriously decorated. It was specially prepared for a nouveau riche like Lin Yueling. The interior was extremely luxurious. When he asked Lin Yueling, she said 5 million. In 2008, 5 million was enough to buy 10 to 20 houses in Jiang City. She spent all the rent she received from Yunhu Street in the past few months. "Su Su, do you like it?" Cheng Lingsu looked at the luxurious villa with a yard in front, a pond at the back, and a river at the side. Her eyes lit up and she nodded. I like it. Looking at her, Jiang Xiu snorted in his heart. What a greedy and vain woman. He came to the side of the pond and looked up. He saw a familiar figure in the distance. When he came, he felt that the figure was familiar. It turned out that Wang Xintong's house was across the pond. This villa was newly developed. Wang Xintong bought this place, and his mother also bought this place. Well, now he was Wang Xintong's neighbor. Wang Xintong was surprised to see Jiang Xiu. She wanted to greet him, but when she saw Lin Yueling and Cheng Lingsu coming out, she didn't know why she hid behind a tree. They bought a house across the street? There's a pond here. We can rear fish. Cheng Lingsu walked around the pond and liked it very much. Speaking of fish, you must be hungry after a busy day. You guys chat for a while. Mom will cook for you guys. Jiang Xiu sat down in the distance with a cold face. Cheng Lingsu wanted to explain to him, but seeing his attitude, she could only dismiss the idea. She sat across from him and replied to the messages from Miao Xiaolin and her friends. Su, you didn't really get a marriage certificate, did you? Cheng Lingsu took a photo of the marriage certificate and sent it over. Whoa, Cheng Lingsu's dorm room exploded. She really did. The girls started to talk about it. It was too exciting. She got married right after entering university. While replying to the messages from her classmates, Cheng Lingsu's thoughts went back to her high school days. She thought of Ouyang Qian and Li Dan, her two best friends. Everyone hoped that their best friends would know when they made a big decision. Thinking of them now, Cheng Lingsu also gave her heart to their friendship, but they abandoned it like a pair of worn-out shoes. Cheng Lingsu couldn't help but feel sad. But then she thought that when she was in trouble, they cut off all ties with her. She didn't want such friends. Then she laughed. She could also gain friends in university. That night, Jiang Xiu and Cheng Lingsu were locked in the master bedroom by Lin Yueling. Why? Was there a need to ask? Of course, to consummate their marriage and give birth to a child as soon as possible. Then they would completely give up the idea of the Jiang family. The room wasn't small, but the atmosphere was a little different when a man and a woman were alone in a private space. Jiang Xiu had been sitting on the sofa by the window, looking out of the window. Cheng Lingsu was a girl. She liked cleanliness. Although she was a little uncomfortable, she followed her usual habits. She took a shower and changed into her pajamas. Seeing Jiang Xiu sitting on the sofa, she gritted her teeth and climbed onto the bed. The two of them lived under the same roof. Su was no stranger to them. They lived together in Jiang City. At that time, she was abused like a maid. Now she was the mistress of the house, so she was a little bolder and dared to climb onto the bed to sleep. Under the light, Cheng Lingsu's hair was still a little wet. After washing her pretty face, it was as white as snow. Her facial features were exquisite and impeccable. She said, "Hey, aren't you going to sleep?" Jiang Xiu's face was as still as water, as if he didn't hear her. Do you want? I'll buy some books for you to read tomorrow." Jiang Xiu's face turned slowly. "Do you really think you're my wife? I married you just to deal with my mother. Do you still remember Jiang City? Your marriage is the beginning of your nightmare. I'll torture you nonstop until you have a mental breakdown. Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better think of a way to leave as soon as possible." After hearing that, Cheng Lingsu's smile was a little stiff. She said softly, "I know. Do you want to sleep on the bed? I'll give it to you." She climbed out of it again. Jiang Xiu retracted his gaze coldly. He didn't speak or move. Seeing that, Cheng Lingsu lay back down. "Then I'll sleep first. I have an early class tomorrow." The next morning, when Cheng Lingsu woke up, Lin Yueling had already bought breakfast back. She said with a smile, "Did you sleep well last night?" Cheng Lingsu smiled and said, "Pretty good." Lin Yueling whispered something in her ear. Cheng Lingsu's face turned red. She quickly ate breakfast and ran out. Lin Yueling followed her out unrelentingly. When Jiang Xiu came down, breakfast was on the table, but there was no one. He didn't think much of it. He ate a steamed bun and left the house. Jiang Xiu, seeing that Cheng Lingsu was alone, he felt that something was amiss. What's wrong? Chung Lingsu said. A car came and took Mom away just now. I saw something wrong with Mom's face. If they were friends, Lin Yueling would definitely ask someone to send Chung Lingsu to school. It wasn't easy to stop a car here. Jiang Xiu's face changed. What car? What license plate? His heart kept sinking. It was either the Jiang family or the Lin family. Chapter 194. Chung Lingsu saw that Jiang Xiu's expression was not right. She felt that something was wrong and hurriedly said, "It's a black Mercedes-Benz. The license plate seems to be A666. Jiang Xiu softly said the name of the Jiang family. This car was the car of Jiang Yishan's secretary, who came to find him last time. This time, the person who came to ask his mother to leave should be that big secretary Yi. Chung Lingsu said worriedly, "Will Mom be okay?" Jiang family had hired a hitman and was sent to the police station. The matter was so big that even the Jiang family had to protect it. It would be a great blow to his reputation. Many people would inevitably have the idea of alienating him, among which the Nangong family would be the most. Jiang Xiu guessed that the Jiang family asked Lin Yueling to force her to give up on Jiang Xiu and make him a chess piece under the control of the Jiang family to unite the Nangong family. As for whether Lin Yueling would be hurt, Jiang Xiu felt that the possibility was not high, but the threat should be inevitable. The coldness in his eyes became more and more intense. He saw a car coming, waved his hand and got in. Chung Lingsu said, "Let me go with you. Maybe I can help." Jiang Xiu ignored her and closed the door. Jiang Xiu, helplessly watching the car fly away, Chung Lingsu felt lost. Just now Lin Yueling did not let her follow. Now Jiang Xiu did not let her follow. She felt that although she was married to Jiang Xiu, they did not treat her as a family at all. But this was the reality at the moment. Her situation. In the Mercedes-Benz, Lin Yueling did not say a word. Her face was cold. Secretary Yi beside her said with a smile, "Yueling, we haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. Lin Yueling said, 12 years, almost 13 years. Before Jiang Yi was sent to prison, she had brought her son to the capital to save his life. She had seen Secretary Yi on the side. At that time his face was cold, like a bodhisattva in a temple. No matter how much you kneeled and kowtowed, he was indifferent. But now his face was full of smiles, and he looked incomparably amiable. The calculation under this smile made Lin Yueling even more afraid. Big Secretary Yi sighed. Yes, time flies. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years have passed. I'm old, and the old chief is. He turned his head and looked at Lin Yueling. You're also in your 40s. Life is so fast. In the blink of an eye, I'll be buried. There's no need to dwell on the past. Lin Yueling didn't bat an eyelid. Her tone was flat as she said, Uncle Yi, why are you looking for me? You can tell me directly. There doesn't seem to be any old memories between us. Big Secretary Yi said. It's not me who's looking for you, it's the old chief. The car stopped at a manor. Along the way, there were all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs, as well as deer running around. This was a very private place where countless treasures and antiques were collected. It was nicknamed the Little Summer Palace. In the pavilion, a young girl in a green dress was making kung fu tea. Her face was young but pretty. She didn't look more than 15 years old. She had a pair of big bright eyes and was unusually calm. Chief, please have some tea. Her voice was ethereal and moving. Old Master Jiang took it and took a sip. His thoughts drifted to an unknown place. He unconsciously stood up. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a car. The black car had already bypassed the flower bed and arrived in front of the pavilion. A woman got out of the car. If old Master Jiang didn't know who this person was, he dared to bet that he wouldn't recognize her if they bumped into each other on the street. She had completely changed. She was no longer the beautiful and stubborn girl in his memory, but a woman in her 40s who had been tortured by life and fate. He was slightly moved. At this moment, there might be a trace of regret in his heart, but he would never think that he was wrong. Everything was brought upon by themselves. What's more, who could fight against the pig-slaughtering knife of time? You're looking for me? No matter how ruthless, Lin Yueling would never dare to be presumptuous in front of him. Sit down. More than 10 years ago, she wanted to see him but she couldn't. The door was closed tightly. Bing Qing had ruthlessly allowed her and the young Jiang Xiu to be destroyed in the heavy rain. But now he took the initiative to bring her to see him. I don't know. Why did old Master Jiang ask me to come over? Old Master Jiang said. I heard that he has been reinstated and encountered a good time. Annan County has been promoted to a city. This is rare in our country. It can be considered a great fortune. Lin Yueling said. Thanks to you, Jiang Yi didn't fall. These words were not without resentment. From this, it could be seen that Lin Yueling was still holding a grudge in her heart about what had happened in the past. What had happened in the past had indeed made her completely disappointed. Old Master Jiang said. You too can be considered to have lived a peaceful life now. Lin Yueling didn't answer. Those who didn't know would think that old Master Jiang wanted to let go of all grievances and let them go home. But a few months ago, he had allowed Jiang Xiu to commit murder, which had already let Lin Yueling and her husband see his true colors. Old Master Jiang said, I heard that minor repairs' results were good. She was the top scorer in the college entrance examination in Jiangnan this year, and she even entered the capital university. Here came the main topic. Old Nangong was very happy to hear it. In addition, Nangong Ko-er is also old. The two of us discussed and asked them to get married as soon as possible. Lin Yueling's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She was so shocked that cold sweat almost broke out on her back. Fortunately, she acted quickly and asked the minor repairs and Su to get it done yesterday. Otherwise, she really didn't know where she would go to regret it today. Old Master, I'm afraid this matter can't be done. Old Master Jiang didn't change his expression. He had expected that Lin Yueling would refuse. Otherwise, Jiang Xiu would have grown up in the Jiang family instead of following them. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Old Master Jiang put the teacup back on the table. The girl who made the tea had already left silently. He sat down and said, Jiang Xiu was young back then, so he followed you. Children do need their parents to accompany them. But now he has grown up and must return to the Jiang family. The blood of the Jiang family flows in his body, so he must fulfill his obligations as a member of the Jiang family. Obligations as a member of the Jiang family? Lin Yueling's pretty face was cold, but she sneered in her heart. You really have the face to say this. The minor repairs is Jiang Yi's and my son. His marriage should be decided by us. Old Master Jiang's eyes fell on Lin Yueling's face. His eyes emitted an oppressive aura, and his face gradually turned cold. It's not up to you two to decide this matter. Lin Yueling gritted her teeth and didn't speak. Obviously, she had no intention of backing down. Old Master Jiang said, It's not easy for a person to get up after falling down, especially for an official. But it's quite easy to make him fall down again. I don't know if he has another 12 years. By then he will be 57 years old. Even if he's a feudal official, he will have to retire. Lin Yueling's face turned pale in an instant. Jiang Yi was almost crippled. It was not easy for him to get up. She didn't dare to imagine whether Jiang Yi could withstand it if he fell down again. She looked at the old man in front of her in horror. She wanted to tell him that he was his son, but the words were stuck in her throat. If she said such words, he would only think that it was childish and ridiculous. If the old man in front of her treated Jiang Yi as his son, he would watch Jiang Yi's more than 10 years of hard work be destroyed. And Jiang Xiu, the young top scorer, has a bright future. You don't want him to waste most of his life like Jiang Yi, do you? Lin Yueling felt cold all over and began to tremble. Listen to me, if Jiang Xiu marries Nangong Ko-er, he will have a bright future, no matter whether he wants to be an official or a businessman, Gu Xinwei said. Lin Yueling's brain was buzzing. She didn't know what to do. But at this moment, an indifferent voice sounded. A good man is born in this world. Of course, he has to overcome all obstacles and advance bravely. He has to rely on his own courage and fighting spirit. Only cowards and weaklings would walk these unorthodox paths. Along with this voice, a figure walked out from behind the flower bed. His imposing manner was extremely shocking. It was as if the whole world was under his awe. He was like the ruler of a large sect. How dare you? Who dares to trespass in the summer palace? The surrounding bodyguards immediately came out as if they were facing a great enemy. Lin Yueling was both surprised and happy. Minor repairs. Why are you here? Hearing this, Old Master Jiang was stunned. He looked up and down at Jiang Xiao. He really didn't expect that such an imposing young man was the child of Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling. How could it be? Chapter 195. He was quite shocked that a child who grew up in the streets could have such a king-like momentum. He couldn't see a trace of Jiang Yi's literary and stubborn figure in him. Lin Yueling was extremely shocked. Minor repairs. Under the deliberate concealment of Jiang Yi and Jiang Xiao didn't know what kind of background their parents had. Jiang Xiao's sudden appearance here was really unexpected. Why are you here? She didn't know how Jiang Xiao came, when he arrived, or how much of their conversation he had heard, but she felt very uneasy in her heart. She felt that she couldn't hide the things that had been hidden for so many years. Jiang Xiao said, I'm worried, so I came to have a look. His tone was nonchalant. The old man sized him up from head to toe. His figure was as perfect as a deity's, and his waist was as straight as a javelin. His every movement showed an unfathomable power. His face was as resolute as marble, and there was no trace of the childishness of his peers. His eyes were as deep as an abyss, and he asked softly, Is he really Jiang Xiao? Secretary Yi nodded. Yes, he is Jiang Xiao. Master Jiang waved his hand and motioned for the bodyguard to retreat. Lin Yueling hurried over and nervously took Jiang Xiao's hand and said, It's okay. It's just an old friend who invited me to have a cup of tea. It's nothing serious. We just want to talk about the old days. Jiang Xiao's face was gloomy and cold. He walked into the pavilion and sat down directly. I heard what you said just now. This clown has jumped in front of me several times. He pointed his finger at Secretary Yi. Hearing this, Lin Yueling understood that the Jiang family had already looked for Jiang Xiao. Didn't that mean that Jiang Xiao had already known his background, including his former boss? Secretary Yi was embarrassed to be called a clown in front of everyone. His cheeks twitched and he was furious. However, he didn't dare to flare up in front of the old chief. However, before beating a dog, one had to look at its owner. Old Master Jiang shouted angrily, How dare you? Is this how you talk to your elders? Jiang Xiao smiled faintly. Elder? Just now, someone threatened my mother with the identity of an elder, saying that he would make my father unable to be the secretary of Annan City again, and destroy my father again. Not only that, but he also wanted to destroy me. Hearing this, everyone realized that Jiang Xiao might have been here for a while. This is your so-called elder? Jiang Xiao raised his head and looked at Old Master Jiang. In his previous life, after his parents passed away, he had regarded this old man as his savior. But in the end he was mercilessly despised and abandoned like a pet. He didn't care about him and allowed his cousins to humiliate him. It was ridiculous that Jiang Xiao was so naive at that time. He didn't know that this person didn't even save his own son. How could he care about a grandson who grew up in the streets? You are really presumptuous. Old Master Jiang's face became gloomy. From the moment Jiang Xiao sat down casually, a trace of anger emerged in his heart. No junior dared to be so presumptuous in front of him. Without his permission, he dared to sit down. Not only that, he even dared to ridicule him. Jiang Xiao sneered. So what if I'm presumptuous? You. Old Master Jiang was contradicted again and again. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. Do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like this? Jiang Xiao said. Why? Is the name Jiang Yishan more noble than others? In my eyes it's nothing. Old Master Jiang's eyes widened. This boy was really rude. He dared to call his grandfather's name directly. Even outsiders didn't dare to call him that. He was really a bastard. I'm still your grandfather. Jiang Xiao laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. His laughter stopped abruptly and his face suddenly became cold. 12 years ago, it was raining heavily. My mother took me to kneel in front of your house for a day and a night, but she didn't even open the door and let my father go to jail. From that moment on, You and my father had completely cut off the relationship. How can you say that you are my grandfather? Jiang Yishan, you are slapping your own mouth. Old Master Jiang's eyes flashed with indescribable emotions. He stared at Jiang Xiu in front of him with a pair of tiger-like eyes. No one knew what he was feeling in his heart at this moment. Jiang Xiu said, "However, with your shamelessness, it's not surprising that you said so. Just now, you said that you wanted me to fulfill the obligations of your Jiang family. This so-called obligation is to sacrifice my marriage and become the sacrifice of your Jiang family's political friendship, to help your Jiang family achieve the status and power of your Jiang family, and ensure the prosperity of you and your children and grandchildren? You are so shameless that it makes me sick." Bang! Old Master Jiang slammed his palm on the stone table. With a crackling sound, the tea set fell to the ground. "Boy, how dare you! Minor repairs. Don't talk about it." Lin Yueling on the side hurriedly pulled Jiang Xiu. "You want to use me to protect your Jiang family's wealth? Don't even think about it in this life." Jiang Xiu stood up. "Don't you want to deal with us? Do you want to destroy our future? Then bring it on. I'm afraid you don't have the ability." After that, he turned around and walked out of the pavilion with Lin Yueling. Countless bodyguards were on the side, but none of them went up to stop them. Without the orders of the leader, they didn't dare to act rashly. Fortunately, they didn't do anything. Otherwise, blood would have spilled everywhere. You see? Old Master Jiang pointed at Jiang Xiu and trembled with anger. "Do you see it? This is the son they taught. He's a scoundrel." Secretary Yi was also angry, but she didn't dare to say anything. Does he really think that I can't do anything to him and his son? He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Old Master Jiang sat down fiercely. He wanted to get some tea, but he had already finished it, so he had to withdraw his hand embarrassedly. Secretary Yi said, "The Jiang family is now in troubled times. They are facing a strong enemy, Jiang Luoxia. When they need the support of the Nangong family, Jiang Xiu doesn't cooperate. This is a troublesome matter. We can't really suppress them, right?" Old Master Jiang snorted coldly. Such an unfilial son and grandson. They don't know how to repay. What's the point of raising them? Bring up Jiang Yi's case again. 2 rules. If Gu Daji doesn't cooperate, then contact the disciplinary department directly. As for this kid, he needs to be taught a good lesson. Jiang Xiu took Lin Yueling out of the summer palace. Lin Yueling was very nervous all the way, but Jiang Xiu was unusually calm, which made him even more worried. This child didn't know how terrifying the rich families in the capital were, and he didn't understand old Master Jiang's nature. He was a stubborn and domineering old man. No one dared to disobey him, let alone challenge him in public. Minor repairs. You know about what happened to Dad and Mom? Yes. Lin Yueling said. Dad and Mom didn't deliberately hide it from you. It's just that rich families are fickle. You're our only son, and we don't want you to be involved and become a chess piece. Mom, I understand. I've never blamed you. On the contrary, I'm very grateful that you let me stay away from that family. These were Jiang Xiu's heartfelt words. In his previous life, after his parents died, Jiang Xiu returned to the Jiang family and suffered humiliations that he couldn't bear to look back on. In the end, he escaped from the Jiang family with bruises all over his body. If it weren't for Cheng Lingran, he would have even committed suicide to end his miserable life. That's good. But you were too impulsive just now. Mom hasn't used her trump card yet. Lin Yueling looked a little regretful that she had made a good move. If he knows that you're married, I'm afraid he'll have to give up on this idea. Jiang Xiu said, forget about it. He won't. He'll only force us to get a divorce. He might even make Cheng Lingsu disappear from this world. They'll do anything for their wealth. Lin Yueling felt a chill in her heart. Although Jiang Xiu was just guessing, she somewhat agreed with him. They would do anything for their own interests. Fortunately, I didn't say it out loud. How about this? Minor repairs. Don't study anymore. Go back to Jiangnan with Mom. No, they won't let you go. Go abroad. We might as well go abroad. Mom and Dad didn't have the ability to do so before, and now we're a little worried about money. You should emigrate. I'll go back and ask your dad for his opinion. If he really suffers a setback in his career, Mom and Dad will emigrate together and completely draw a line with the Jiang family. Jiang Xiu smiled faintly. Is that necessary? Lin Yueling said. Yes, of course, and it must be fast. Jiang Xiu said, I won't go. Son, you must listen to Mom this time. We can't afford to offend the Jiang family. Chapter 196. When she got home, she saw Cheng Lingsu sitting in the living room. She didn't go to school and was worried. Seeing Lin Yueling come back safely, she let out a sigh of relief. Mom, are you okay? Lin Yueling shook her head. I'm fine. Su, why didn't you go to class? Cheng Lingsu looked at Jiang Xiu. That guy's face was cold. She couldn't get any information from him. I thought they were bad people. It's good that you're fine. I'm going to school. Lin Yueling said. Okay, go. Don't skip class. Cheng Lingsu picked up the baby on the sofa and waved goodbye to Lin Yueling. Lin Yueling hesitated. No, I have to go back to Jiangnan. She didn't wait for Jiang Xiu's reply and went to pack her things. Jiang Xiu felt that his marriage was in vain. In the end, he was still going to be taken back to Jiangnan. Just as he was thinking, his phone rang. It was Wang Xintong. Hello. Wang Xintong said. I just received news that the most outstanding person of the Jiang family's third generation, Jiang Ao, went to Jiangnan. Jiang Ao? That's right. His nickname is Prince Ao. He's the third generation of the Jiang family. He's also the one with the most authority and resources. He could be said to be the future leader of the Jiang family. Of course, Jiang Xiu was no stranger to it. The reason why he was so strong was because of his mother and his fiancée. They both had powerful backgrounds. In particular, his fiancée's Ji family was a large family from 100 years ago. 100 years ago, the family had a demigod, Ji Wudao. Today, one of the 10 generals of the military was Ji Wudao's favorite student. Now the whole of Jiangnan is in chaos. Jiang Xiu's face was gloomy. This was old Master Zhang's idea. Jiang Ao wants to suppress the people of Jiangnan? Let's see if he has the ability to do so. Wang Xintong said. If you don't go back to Jiangnan with the prestige of the Jiang family and the Ji family, none of the Jiangnan tycoons can stop them. This move by the Jiang family is really ruthless. Sir, you didn't show up and let Jiang Ao suppress and subdue the Jiangnan merchants and various underground forces. This is equivalent to shaking the foundation of Mr. Jiang. Jiang Xiu coldly spat out 2 words. You're courting death. At this time, Lin Yueling came out of the room with their luggage. It seemed that everything was ready. Well, son, book the plane tickets. We'll go back to Jiangnan immediately. He had no choice but to return. She said to Wang Xintong on the phone. Prepare a plane to go to Hangzhou. Since the Jiang family's proud prince came to Jiangnan, he must go to Hangzhou. All right. Lin Yueling said. Why go to Hangzhou? We should go back to Jiangcheng. No, go to Annan. Jiang Xiu said. Didn't you want me to go to Jiangnan University to study? Why go to Annan again? Why don't you tie me to your belt? It's the most worry-free way. Lin Yueling laughed and scolded. Stinky brat, stinky bastard. Go to Hangzhou then. In Jiangnan's upper-class circle, the news spread like wildfire. Jiang Ao went to Jiangnan and sent out many invitations. Jiangnan tycoons flocked to him like ducks. This was a real top young master in the capital. Many times, the charm of a young master was greater than that of a real person in power. Most of the time, those in power had misgivings, but the young masters were even more perverse and unscrupulous. For example, if you went to his father to ask for an official position, you had to do it properly. It took time and effort, and sometimes it couldn't be done. On the other hand, these young masters could do it for you in minutes. There were rumors that when Jiang Ao arrived in Jiangnan, he took charge of Jiangnan's deputy secretary, Dong Zhifeng's family. It seemed that he had a very close relationship with Jiangnan's number 3. In Jiangnan, the Dong family had been entrenched for decades. They were deeply rooted and had a huge influence. Gu De knew that many things had happened in the past 2 years in Jiangnan. Originally, his control in Jiangnan was not strong, and his power was very complicated. In addition, The rapid economic development in the past 2 years had overshadowed the Liangguang, Pinghai, and other places in the limelight. The status of the Jiangnan border was more and more prominent, and there were many people who had their eyes on it. Everyone guessed that the Jiang family was going to support Dong Zhenfeng to take the throne. In a high-rise office building in Jiangnan, two people were talking. I'm guessing that Jiangnan will soon belong to the Dong family, not the Gu family. With Gu Shu's arrival, the major forces in Jiangnan will definitely be reshuffled. Prince Ao's invitation is the key. It's like a ticket to the future. In a secluded and ancient place, two old men in martial arts suits were walking. Behind them were several cold-looking bodyguards in suits. Mr. Jiang and Gu Shu are very close. Is the underground going to change? If we say that there are still variables in the future of Jiangnan's borders, is there still a need to say who has the final say in Jiangnan's underground? Of course, it's the Ji family. You mean the Ji family? Yes, Prince Ao's fiancé is the fifth-generation great-grandson of the Ji family's ancestor. On another island, a stalwart man was facing the sea with his hands behind his back. He looked at the waves crashing against the rocks. The waves rose more than 10 meters into the sky. He let out a long sigh from the bottom of his heart. Jiangnan is really going to change greatly. The person behind him asked, is the Ji family really that powerful? Of course, how could a mere Jiangnan catch his eye? It's really nothing in his eyes. Although Mr. Jiang rose like a comet, he's still young and has a shallow foundation. Jiang Luoxia's absolute power had suppressed Jiangnan for a period of time, but in reality, he had not exercised any control over Jiangnan. This was mainly because Jiang Xiu's ambition did not lie here. He had even run off to the capital to study. Mr. Jiang is not to be trifled with. Master, please tell us what to do. Prince Ao Jiangnan. Jiangnan is going to experience a storm. The stalwart man looked at the incoming waves in the distance and calmly said, no matter how the wind and waves rise, I will sit on the fishing platform steadily. Jiangnan was in a storm and dark clouds were gathering. A private jet came from the capital and landed at Jiangnan's airport. The ones who got off the plane were Jiang Xiu and Lin Yueling. Lin Yueling was shocked by her son's big hand. A private jet. Oh my God. In 2008 he would definitely be a big shot. Minor repairs. Where are we staying tonight? Jiang Xiu said. We can stay in a hotel. If you're not used to it, I'll send someone to send you back to Annan. I'll go find Gu Shu and have him arrange a school for me. Lin Yueling said. Then get someone to send me back to Annan. I have to go back early to discuss with your father what to do in the future. The car drove directly to the tarmac. Jiang Xiu asked the driver to send Lin Yueling back to Annan. He waited at the airport for a while before another car arrived. The phone rang. It was Wang Xintong. The original Wang Fu has been changed to the Jiang Fu. You can go back. Of course, if you feel comfortable staying in a hotel, I'll arrange a hotel for you. I'll go back to my new home. Jiang Xiu had to cultivate at night. The soundproofing of the hotel wasn't very good. Moreover, the Lin Garden in the original Wang Fu was his favorite. He also wanted to renovate his home in Jiangnan. It would also be his headquarters. And okay, I'll be there soon. I'll be one flight behind you. There's some bad news. Many of our businesses in Jiangnan have been stopped. This includes 5 hotel projects, 12 commercial buildings, 2 holiday resorts, 3 internet companies, 6 large restaurants, and a film studio development. We're losing 50 million a day. If Wang Xintong didn't mention it, he wouldn't have known that the Zhongtian Group had developed so many businesses in Jiangnan. He had to admit that Wang Xuetong and his daughter were quite capable and ambitious. There's still no news from Jiang City. If nothing goes wrong, the original Cheng clan and Wan Ji's projects will also be stopped. Prince Ao Jiangnan is really generous. Wang Xintong's voice became unprecedentedly worried. What should we do? The Jiang family isn't a small family. They have power and influence. Jiang Xiu said, will our capital chain be broken? Wang Xintong said, of course not. Our money isn't from a bank. Although there are many projects under Gu Shu's care, the investment doesn't exceed 5 billion. The Wang family's assets were in the tens of billions. It didn't hurt them at all. They're more anxious than we are. Wang Xintong said. In 3 days, Prince Ao will invite all the tycoons in Jiangnan to a banquet by the West Lake. Everyone in Jiangnan has received an invitation. Only the Wang family didn't. Jiang Xiu said. I didn't either. Wang Xintong was annoyed. They were obviously targeting you. Why did they still send you an invitation? If he didn't invite us, can't we go? Chapter 197. 3 days later, the lanterns were lit at the West Lake. Inside the West Manor, there was an endless stream of people and voices. From time to time, the elegant sound of a zither could be heard, echoing over the West Lake. Oh, Mr. Liao, you're here. Mr. Li, you're here too. The waiter shuttled back and forth inside, holding a tray with all kinds of drinks on it. He was very considerate. Prince Ao is in Jiangnan. At this moment, he may decide the future of Jiangnan for the next 10 years. How can I not come? Who dares to not come? Don't you see in front? Mr. Liao followed President Li's gaze, but he was shocked. He saw a handsome young man. He was not impressed by his demeanor, but because of his identity. He was Gu Deji's son, Master Gu. Gu Shu was about to retire. No one knew what he would do in the future, so the possibility of him being promoted was very small. Moreover, Prince Ao was in Jiangnan this time, and Mr. Jiang's businesses were all stranded. As everyone knew, Mr. Jiang had a close relationship with Gu Shu. It was obvious that he came for Mr. Jiang and Gu Shu. It was indeed ridiculous that Master Gu appeared here, as if nothing had happened. Even Master Gu had to find a way out for himself. He could not wait for his father to step down, and then his businesses would be swept out. Speaking of Master Gu, there was a bit of a grudge between him and Jiang Xiu. At that time, Jiang Xiu was invited by Elder Tang to attend the sorcerer conference in Jiangcheng, and he slapped Master Gu. However, things had changed with the passage of time. Jiang Xiu had also changed from the fruit vendor who was scolded by them to Mr. Jiang, who had trampled half of Jiangnan under his feet. There were a few other young masters beside young Master Gu. However, no matter how powerful Jiang Ao was, Gu Shu was still in power now, so everyone had to give Master Gu some face. I wonder, Crown Prince Ao, why are you holding this meeting? In the past 3 days, there had been rumors all over Jiangnan that Crown Prince Ao had come to Jiangnan for Mr. Jiang. Gu Shu had seen this coming, and it was impossible for them to send a junior to deal with the Jiangnan frontier, let alone in such a way. The higher-ups had their own way of playing games. In addition, almost all of Mr. Jiang's businesses had been suspended. Things seemed to be getting clearer and clearer, but Crown Prince Ao did not admit it himself, so everything was just speculation. The answer will be revealed tonight. Many people's gazes became sharp. At this unpredictable moment, everyone wanted to squeeze in. When the time came, the profits they would get would be considerable. Many of the tyrants present were also thinking about what to do. Mr. Jiang was already strong enough when he rose to power, but I didn't expect Prince Ao to be so powerful in Jiangnan. It's really scary. There's the Jiang family in literature and the Ji family in martial arts. How terrifying. His power is too frightening. While they were talking, there was a commotion in the crowd. Someone exclaimed, the head of the Dong family, the Lin family, the Li family, the Bai family, and more than a dozen other big families are here. What surprised them most was that these big shots were all clustered around a young man. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. His identity was on the verge of being revealed. This young man walked with a majestic gait. He was dressed in a casual shirt and trousers. His eyes flashed as he scanned the crowd. There was a natural aura of nobility around him. As he was surrounded by the crowd, the domineering aura of a king was even more prominent. Everyone present, whether it was the elders with great authority or the most powerful young masters such as young Master Gu, all of them were overshadowed by his radiance. This feeling, Mr. Jiang is just like this. In the crowd, there was a girl in a backless evening dress. She was tall and slim, wearing high heels. Her slender legs were crossed, and she was holding a glass of champagne in her hand. She looked very ladylike. The high slit of her evening dress reached her big hips. Her eyes were fascinated by the majestic wind on the West Lake. No one knew whether she was really blinded by the wind or someone else. In the past, Mr. Jiang was unique in her heart. But now this Prince Ao took the lead. She had never seen Mr. Jiang's elegance, but she guessed that this Prince Ao could suppress Mr. Jiang so much that he didn't show off too much. Of course, this Prince Ao was more outstanding. Not only her, but many ladies from the famous families in Jiangnan were dazzled, and their hearts beat faster. The men present were even more agitated. They lamented that being born a man should be like this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you. The head of the Dong family said calmly. Now the Dong family was proud of its success. This is Mr. Jiang Ao from the Jiang family in the capital, the grandson of old Master Jiang. He is also the Prince Ao who has been the talk of Jiangnan recently. Wow! There was an uproar in the hall. Then there was applause. The young masters present, including young Master Gu, young Master Lin, young Master Bai, and the others were all worried. In the past, these young masters were the most powerful. Men were always competitive. Suddenly, there was someone who was stronger than them. They were more or less unconvinced. However, this Crown Prince Ao was too powerful. Some of the young masters on the side couldn't help but lower their heads and submit to him. He is the Prince Ao. He is supported by the Jiang family, the Ji family, the Dong family, and more than a dozen other big families. He is really extraordinary. The clan heads of the clans following behind these clans were also pleased with their success. These people were all proud of their crown prince's efforts in dealing with Mr. Jiang and stopping Mr. Jiang's businesses. In the future, when Jiang Ao gained power, they would definitely rise. Jiang Ao stood up and said, "The scenery of Jiangnan has been described by countless scholars in ancient times. I don't need to repeat it. I have been looking forward to coming to Jiangnan for a long time. Today, I am very excited to see the famous West Lake in Jiangnan. I am very happy to see all the talented people of Jiangnan. This toast is to everyone. Thank you for coming today. Cheers." Jiang Ao finished the wine in his cup in one gulp and continued. "I'm sure everyone knows why I came to Jiangnan. That's right, I came for Jiang Luo." Wow. Another uproar. No, to be precise, it was a commotion. This person shouldn't be in Jiangnan. Was he trying to kill all of them? Prince Ao is right. The Ji family wholeheartedly agrees. The representative of the Ji family was Ji Yitzong. I agree too. The head of the Dong family. Me too. Ma Dexing, the richest man in Jiangnan, was also on the Forbes list. He had a net worth of tens of billions. In the 1980s, he went into the sea to do business. He made electrical appliances, sold antiques, and did everything. After decades in the business world, he had accumulated a huge net worth. The funniest thing was that he changed his nationality to Indian. However, he had a lot of power in Jiangnan. All the big shots supported Jiang Ao. Everyone was shocked. There was another group of people gathered in the distance. Whether it's power, influence, or money, Mr. Jiang has built his empire with his martial prowess. He's ranked 11th on the demigod ranking, and he's able to cleanse the heavens with the 9 mysteries. He's an outstanding man who doesn't know his place. If I don't suppress Mr. Jiang in martial prowess, how can I say that Jiangnan doesn't belong to him? Yes. These are all superficial. The key is whether the Ji family can beat Mr. Jiang. That's right. One of the elders said. Does Jiang Luoxia dare to fight Ji Wudao? Mr. Jiang's assets had been frozen. He hadn't shown up for 3 days. He was at a disadvantage. Everyone could feel that he was scared. When the situation in Jiangnan was brewing, the Hua martial arts community said that Jiang Luoxia was going to fight Ji Wudao. On the martial arts forum, it was even more popular than in Jiangnan. Even some of the neighboring countries, including Japan and North Korea, were paying close attention to it. A battle between demigods was no longer seen after World War II. One could imagine how much they were looking forward to it. Jiang Luoxia wouldn't dare. Someone said. Jiang Luoxia wouldn't dare. Another person said. Among those present, there was a disciple of the Ji clan. Before he came, the elders of the Ji clan had already said that Jiang Luoxia might not dare to accept the challenge. Now, it seemed that their words had been verified. Demigods were very strong and had great power. However, it was because they had great power that they became more cautious and cherished their lives more. To demigods, money was nothing. If they lost it, then so be it. If they avoided strong enemies and changed places, they could still prosper. There were many examples like this. Some went to Europe to establish the Heavenly Gate. Some went to control some small countries. At this time, a car was coming from the airport. Inside the car was a 17 or 18-year-old girl. She didn't know what had happened, but Ouyang Qian and Li Dan, the two people who had been showing off in the high school class group all day, talked about the changes in Jiangnan's superior, so she felt that as his wife, she should stand up and support him at this time. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.